Welcome to the very special QI Children in Need special. Are you sitting comfortably? Yes! Excellent news, then I shall begin. Joining me in my fairy tale cottage tonight are, in the littlest chair, lovely little Pudsey Baby Bear. And in the medium-sized chair, Ronnie, Mummy Bear and Kona. And in the big chair, David Daddy Bear Mitchell. And Alan, who's been sleeping in my porridge, Davies. Now, our theme tonight, appropriately enough, is families. Families, we all have them. We all
Come on, I must get on.
Whether...
I've got plenty to do here. I've got a programme to do.
Oh, my Christ.
On the other place. Come on. Please. If I could ask you to vacate the chair, please. I've left a large gap in a big studio down the hall. Thank you.
Terry Wogan. Well.
Oh, shucks.
Fabulous to have you all the way from BBC One.
Oh, for goodness sake, no. I've come to this poor little place just to make my contribution to a humble little programme. Meanwhile, I want to continue to make your contributions. Keep that money rolling in.
Well, now you all know the rules. You all have buzzers. Ronnie goes like this.
Sisters, there were never such devoted sisters.
Thank you. Family theme, you see. David goes.
Daddy, cool.
Terry goes. That was lovely. And Alan goes.
Oh, my old man's a dustman. He wears a dustman's hat. He wears gold grimy trousers and he lives in the council flat.
Everyone started clapping along.
Yeah, you see?
But people want knees ups.
People, they do.
They don't want information-based panel shows. They just want a knees up.
This crowd looks to me like they could do a Mexican wave in a minute.
Oh, don't. Well, let's start with some family wisdom. I want some old wives' tales. Do you know any old wives' tales? Tell me some dubious tales of
Well,
your
my
grandmothers.
granny always had a tale or two to tell. You know, I remember her saying, "Love flies out the window when poverty walks in the door."
Ah.
And then the other one was, "It doesn't matter whether you're rich or whether you're poor, as long as you have money."
Cheese gives you bad dreams.
Cheese gives you bad dreams, is
My
one.
granny she had so many, they've kind of become a blur in my head. They were all kind of things like, oh, the higher cows build their nests up trees. The redder a shepherd's face will be, Effie likes butter, unless the wind changes direction, in which case he'll turn blind and catch a cold, unless he puts vinegar on it.
Yes, there's so many that involve catching a cold and going blind, don't they?
Well, going blind, definitely,
Yeah.
yes. Makes you blind. But, you know, I have contact lenses, so I can see fine.
Yeah.
So, essentially, contact lenses are the charter.
Is there much to see?
No, to be honest.
What about a crow follows a busy squirrel?
Eating your
Granny
crust.
says, oh, yes, eating your crust puts hairs on your chest.
Yes.
That's what my granny used to tell me and my two brothers.
But that would
Why
be-
would she tell me
Yes.
that as a woman?
It's
I think
because you
the
said
fact
you
she
make
was
your-
called the Wolf Woman of Wick may have something to do with it.
Well, now, here's a burning contemporary issue and a constant niggle. What have artists and composers ever done for children in need?
Lots.
Lots.
Tchaikovsky and Prokofiev did a sponsored skip across the Volga, dressed as Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Manet sat in a bath of snails for a week. Rachmaninoff ate 48 pies in 68 hours while playing his second piano concerto. Need to go on.
Well, it's a damn good start. Do you know, in some ways, the original Children in Need for London was the creation of an extraordinary institution in the 18th century. Do you know what I might be referring to?
It was a foundling hospital.
There was a foundling hospital. There was a man called Thomas Coram, who was one of the great benefactors of the age, because we're talking about an age in which 75% of all children died before the age of 5 in London. 90% of all children who were born in workhouses died before they were 5. So this man Coram, who was a successful merchant, badgered people, and two of the most influential people who allowed this place to be built were Hogarth, the great artist of the day, and Handel, the composer. And they did extraordinary work for this hospital. It was hugely successful. And there were so many at the founding hospital that they had to have a lottery. They literally had a lottery, and there's a ball taken out of a bag. If it's a white ball, child goes straight in. If it's a red one, they're on a waiting list. If it's a black one, sorry, we can't take your child. Right. And then in 1756, the government said, no, we'll guarantee that every child can go into this hospital, every child. And that sort of worked pretty well. But what's in a sense phenomenal is that we have lived, and our parents have lived probably, and for most of us, our grandparents even, have lived in an age in which such a thing is inconceivable. But we are a minority of the human race. Most of the human race has lived with unspeakable suffering, especially for children.
There's still unspeakable suffering from children all over.
There is.
All over this country, and that's why Children in Need comes in.
Exactly.
I mean, we raised, what was it? 35 million last year. We need to raise 150 million to make a real difference to the kind of suffering that goes on.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. Excellent. So, yeah, the artist Hogarth and the composer Handel helped to establish the founding hospital, the 18th century's answer to children in need. Now, which of these ladies is more likely to bite off a baby's head? David.
I think it's Anne Widdecombe because she's a Catholic.
Sorry, defend your
I'm not
faith.
actually saying that Catholics are more likely to bite off babies' heads, but I imagine that might have been the sort of thing that was once said.
I think that originally, of course, Margaret Thatcher was known as the milk snatcher,
Yes.
taking the pinter out of the innocent babies' mouths. But I don't think it was her. I agree, I think it was Anne Widdecombe. But I think she's misquoted. Because one time somebody said to her, are you hungry? And she's a good little trencher woman. And she said, hungry, she said, I'd eat a baby's arse through a wickerwork chair. And that is how it grew up. That is from arse to head, you know. But, so that's an easy enough mistake.
It's so easily done.
What's the wickerwork chair? That's an odd sort of... Not only would I eat a baby's arse, I'd do it under awkward circumstances. with chopsticks through a wickerwork chair. It shows with one hand tied behind my back.
It shows how little you know of roughage, lad.
He's a stranger to the lavatory, I fear. Now, the reason that we have these two women...
I think I know.
Yes, tell.
I think it's something to do with jelly babies.
Oh, my dear, you're so completely right.
Because women who have had children will basically take a jelly baby and will check it for nappy rash and cradle cap and attempt to get it into a good school before eating it. And then women who haven't had children will obviously can enjoy the benefits of jelly babies, knowing that they can give them back at the end of the day when they've had enough.
Ronnie, it is about jelly babies. But the odd thing about the research is that it's mothers who've had children who bite off the heads. And women who don't. So lots of points for knowing it was about jelly babies.
It's an extraordinary mentality, isn't it, that you actually inquire into which part of the jelly baby you bite off first.
No, it does seem strange.
Well, a lot of universities are short of funding. So they have to investigate stupid
Come on,
things.
boys.
Jesus.
Oh, of course.
And
I'll have a
come on.
black one if I may.
There you are. This morning I get a whole bowl to myself. 3 million of these are eaten every week, you know. No.
What's the powdery substance?
Cocaine and dehydrated. That's it, yeah. Enjoy. Yeah. The powder, of course, is starch. It's so you get the jelly out of the mould. That's what the powder is for. Now, back to family relationships. Ronnie, what do newborn babies like best?
Well, as a mother of a newborn, I'd like to say crying.
Crying.
The thing is about babies crying is you just think, what have you got to cry about? You haven't got any financial problems, you've got no relationship problems, you're not haunted by mistakes that you've made in the past. Do you know what I mean? We should be crying on an hourly basis.
You don't have to get out of bed to go for a poo.
No, everything's provided for you. Lie back. You don't have to pull you a script. You're adored. Make the most of it. What is your problem? Make the most of it, because you'll look back at this and it'll be the happiest days of your life.
Maybe they're stressed about all the stuff they've got ahead of them.
Yes.
Maybe they can pick up on the stress of all the adults, sort of going, oh my God, this is a nightmare. I mean, it's okay now, but this is going to get worse before it gets better. One day, if I'm not careful, they're going to say I'm not allowed to shit in my bed anymore. They'll dress it up as growing up or something. But in fact, it's the first stage of a long surrender.
You never stop soiling yourself. Life would be much better for you.
If you've got an ounce of self-respect, keep soiling yourself.
Someone told me that 90% of the attention you garner in your life, you receive under the age of 3.
It's a thought, isn't it? Not for us who are on television, surely. Surely not us. No, that could be right. Now, that's an interesting point, because a lot of mothers have been led to believe that it's incredibly important at the moment they give birth that there's a bonding process. But the interesting thing is that babies don't bond with their mothers, particularly in the very first days, that actually they respond apparently as much to the cries of a rhesus monkey as to the noise of their mother.
Well, all that hard work.
Later,
Get a rhesus monkey in.
later they get used to you. They get used to you. They get used to your smell after a few weeks, and they do like you.
Now that child's clearly not going to bond.
But as you crawl towards the age where you can again soil yourself with impunity, surely.
What do you mean crawl towards it?
Oh no! Oh no!
Make myself comfy. I'm lucky I have the incontinence pads.
Yeah, I'm so pleased. Is there a tenor gentleman? Is it only tenor lady?
That's a thing. Why is it in those ads? What is it about laughter that makes women wet themselves? I mean, you have the ads, they're jollying about, and then...
It is odd.
I like it when babies soil. My nephew, when he soiled himself, he put his hands on the high chair like that.
They get great concentration on their face.
While mothers may form an immediate bond with their baby until they're 3 months old, babies respond equally well to the call of rhesus monkeys, as a matter of fact. Now, what am I describing here? You have to listen carefully. Sustain, followed by ululation, followed by sustain, but at a higher frequency, followed by ululation, followed by sustain at the starting frequency.
The Arctic monkeys.
Very good.
Not Handel's water music, is it?
No, it's a sound and it's associated with the jungle. It's associated with the jungle in...
It's Morse code for I'm stuck in the jungle, please save me.
No. Think films.
Oh, I know what it is.
Yes?
Yes, it's the noise Tarzan makes.
Yes, well done. Let's hear it. Let's hear the real one.
Oh, Johnny White.
There you are.
So I could have just opened my mouth and you could have dubbed that on later.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that's noticeable about that is that it's actually the same forwards and backwards. We can hear the same backwards now. So it's a kind of simian palindrome. And it was done by the MGM sound technician with... Weissmuller always claimed it was his voice, anyway. But that was his yodel, that was his Tarzan
It's a lot,
yodel.
when you hear it now, as distinct from your memory of it, it's a lot more savage and difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's obviously no human voice, rather an ape man.
Yeah, exactly. One who had been raised by apes. What's the most famous line from a Tarzan film?
That one.
Oh, me, Tarzan, you, Jane.
Yes, except of course it never happened.
What?
No, they
Why
never
do these films always forget to put their most famous line?
It is silly, isn't it? No, yeah, exactly. No play it again, Sam. No, you dirty rat. It's just one of those odd things. Now, we all know about the good work done by Children in Need and, of course, Terry's morning show. But how has the Eurovision Song Contest made Europe a better place?
How has it made it a better place? Because it has, as you can see, the dove.
Yeah.
It has brought together the nations of Europe.
Has it? It's divided east from west. I mean,
It has brought together the nations of Europe on wings of song.
Whether they like it or not.
You only have to listen to my commentary to realise how much I believe that.
absolutely. Oh, yeah. One of the few Eurovision Song Contests I remember incredibly well because the winners are one of the most famous pop groups in the world there's ever been. That was ABBA, and that was in the year
1974, Brighton.
1974, exactly, with the song
Waterloo.
a great song. But there happened to be a song that Portugal provided that year. They came second from bottom. They only got 3 points.
It was called Paddington.
But it was one of the most important Eurovision songs ever written for an extraordinary political reason.
Are you saying that that was the signal for the Portuguese Revolution?
Yes, I am. It was called Depois de Adeus, After the Goodbye, sung by Paulo de Carvalho.
I have to tell you that I think you got the year wrong. It was the following year, when it was being held in Sweden, after ABBA had won, that was the Portuguese Revolution, and they came out with guns with carnations in the barrels of the guns.
Because it was called the Carnation Revolution, wasn't it? We yield to you, none knows better than you. But isn't it wonderful? It was, that song was used because a man called Salazar, or at least his party, had run Portugal for years and years. He didn't technically style his regime a fascist one, but he certainly gave 3 days national mourning when Hitler died, for example. So I think you can call him right-wing.
He wasn't quite Franco, but he was pretty
He was pretty close.
Yeah.
Bizarre leader, because he had a stroke. And after his stroke, he was relieved of his command, and a man called Caetano became prime minister, but they never told Salazar. He went to the grave thinking he was still running the country. They just took his power away from him, and he still thought he was running, was signing things, but it was of no importance whatsoever.
Isn't that nice? That's such a lovely way of doing it.
That could be a fantastic scheme for so many dictators. They don't get out much. All you need is a noise of some crowds playing on a tape outside, big office, lots of things to sign. Well, I hope when I go mad that someone pretends I'm in charge of a large country and gives me lots of things to sign, rather than just sedates me and sticks me in front of a window.
So, how long do you have to have lived in a country to represent them by singing the song?
You don't, because Celine Dion represented, I think,
Switzerland.
Yeah.
But she's obviously not Swiss.
She's Canadian or something.
Canadian,
It's the competition between songwriters, isn't it?
Supposed to
It's supposed to be anyone, doesn't matter who sings it.
So there's an Australian called Johnny Logan who won twice for Ireland.
That's right. But
So
his
it's an anagram
his
of
father was an
Anglo.
Irish tenor.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, Patrick O'Hagan was Johnny Logan's father.
Used to sing in a very high voice like that all the time while winking roguishly.
Totally distressing. Well, the one thing we rule in, of course, is language, at least. 20 and a half, if you count some songs that are sort of bilingual, of the 55 winners have been in English.
The French were furious this year that their singer chose to sing in English.
I love
Because
it.
they it used to be the lingua franca, and it isn't annimore.
No, it
the
isn't.
world is Anglophone.
Isn't it just disgusting? They give us such a bad time and they use our language. They should be taxed.
An English tax! I love it!
They should be taxed. In fact, it's a very good source of revenue for us, potentially. All these countries that are so nationalist. I mean, look at
On the
America,
internet, they use
US,
English.
Australia, they're also glorious nationalists. It will make up their own bloody language if they want to borrow ours.
Now, the 1974 Portuguese entry, E Depois de Adeus, was used as a signal to start the military coup that overthrew the 42-year-old dictatorship of Antonio Salazar in 1974. So, one of the few... one of the... Ignore him. So, from one of the few grim regimes without a general involved to an absolutely beastly experience with one in the iron grip of general ignorance now. So, can you name the family in Swiss Family Robinsons? Yeah.
Robinson.
No, indeed. No, there is no family called Robinson in Swiss Family Robinson, no. The Swiss Family Robinson is a book by a man called Weiss, a Swissman.
Is it a reference to Robinson Crusoe?
To reference to Robinson Crusoe. They're a Swiss Robinson. Yeah, that's what it is. They don't actually have a surname. They're called Ma and Pa and Ernst and Franz and names like that. But the weird thing is there have been films in which they're called the Robinsons. It's just a misapprehension.
Are they even Swiss?
Well, they are Swiss. They are Swiss. When it was translated by William Godwin, he called it the family Robinson Crusoe, because that's the idea. It was a Robinson Crusoe family, as it were. A family undergoing a Robinson Crusoe experience. It's a good title. And that got mysteriously changed in 1818, 4 years later, to the Swiss Family Robinson. A third of all the film and TV adaptations have them as being called Robinson.
I think they need a better title altogether.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just like a sort of shortening of the pitch.
It is,
isn't it?
isn't it?
Swiss family like Robinson Crusoe. It's a Swiss family meets Robinson Crusoe. Exactly. The two most entertaining things we can think of, Robinson Crusoe and a Swiss family. This is dynamite. As long as we can come up with a good title.
There you are. Now, what do you call a boomerang that won't come back?
A Kylie.
Sisters.
Yes, a Kylie is
Kylie.
exactly what it's
A
called.
Kylie.
A stick.
No. Yes, a Kylie is exactly what it's called.
Yeah.
And people say, well, hang on, surely which case... Well, are they called Kylies after Kylie Minogue or whatever? But Kylie was a fairly common girl's name in Australia before Kylie Minogue, and it is named after that. The boomerang that
I
doesn't come
thought
back.
they used them to throw them at things, but it turns out they throw them behind birds and they think it's a hunting bird and it drives them towards them with the spears.
It drives them towards nets. You're absolutely right. For some reason, birds are spooked by this thing sort of going near them. They think it's a
Don't
hawk.
behind. And
Think it's a
don't
hawk
try
or
and catch
a bird
it when
of
it
prey.
comes back, 'cause it
That's
will
right.
take your hand off.
Oh, no, you don't. A boomerang that won't come back is a kind in most Aboriginal tribes had both returning and non-returning throwing sticks. While we're on the subject, who knows where the word kangaroo comes from?
I do. When Captain Cook first went to the antipodes, nobody had much of an idea what the natives were talking about, you see. And one of the chaps who worked for Captain Cook, he said, "What is that animal called?" And the Aboriginal said, "Kangaroo." And it was only several years later when they learned a bit more of the Aboriginal language that they found that kangaroo means, "I don't know."
I'm so sorry to get you through that, because we knew that you thought that was the case. It is a commonly held fallacy. It's sadly not true. The problem is this story got twisted, and in fact, kangaroo is the Gugu Imithira language, and it means a large black or grey kangaroo. 1,400 miles inland, when the Captain Cook's party got, they asked whether there were any kangaroos of a tribe who were, as I say, 1,400 miles away. There were 200 Aboriginal languages at this point, and they had no idea what the other language kangaroo meant at all. So it got confused, and this story arose that it actually was, I don't know, but I'm afraid it isn't true.
Well, I prefer it.
I prefer your story. We started with old wives' tales. Let's end with that old feast of family fun, maths homework. What does this prove? You may notice it's not written in usual mathematical language.
Yes.
It's not a message from Al Qaeda.
No, it's not. You know, it's written in symbolic logic, if that's of any help to you.
Has it got something about the Portuguese coup starting in 75?
Not about that. Who was the great logician of the 20th century, the great British master of logic
Derek
and
Trotter.
mathematics? Sorry? Derek Trotter. He was also a great campaigner against nuclear weapons.
It's Bertrand Russell.
Bertrand Russell, Lord Russell. There he is, Bertie Russell.
He
Marvellous figure.
wasn't a barrel of laughs, was he?
They say that his breath was not good. I mean, that's in the biographies of
That it
Keynes and his
wasn't good.
contemporaries. He had very bad breath. But he was a remarkable man. And he wrote Principia Mathematica, which was a book determined to reinvent maths, because set theory produced all kinds of paradoxes which seemed to suggest that nothing could be proved or complete or consistent in mathematics, which was a huge shock. And so he had to set out to prove mathematics worked from the very first principle.
Very, very good at Sudoku.
He was, oddly enough, he was said not to be that good at mental arithmetic. But... So in order to prove mathematics from the very beginning, you have to establish the first principle of arithmetic, and that piece of symbolic logic was proving that 1 + 1 = 2.
It's a bit late, the 20th century, to prove that. I'd say.
You're a bit late.
We've got quite a lot riding by the 20th century
Yeah.
on 1 + 1 being 2, you know.
There is.
Quite a lot of engineering happening, quite a complex international economy.
Oh,
If
please.
you
I know.
find out that it doesn't equal 2, what do we do? Just burn everything. Because God knows anything could fall on our heads. Money, you might as well eat it. Forget civilization.
Well, there is a general thought that if what were considered to be the sound foundations on which all mathematics rested were proved to be rocky, that it may mean that some of the ultimate answers of the universe will never be answered. But it's rather splendid to think you would give so much effort into proving
What an
1 + 1.
extraordinary achievement.
It is.
You just have to bring up his halitosis.
I know, that was silly of me, but I love
You
that.
know, it
He's
comes
a great...
to something where you think you've achieved that.
Imagine meeting him at a party.
Old
though.
Stinky Russell.
I met this bloke at a party. He stank. When I asked him what he did, he said he proved that 1 + 1 = 2.
I know. But it's very important. It's a very important principle to understand is that you can be gossipy about someone's private hygiene and think they are one of the greatest and most towering intellectual heroes that you could ever worship at. The two don't rule each other out.
Similarly, you can say that someone has very nice breath who is an idiot.
Exactly right. Precisely the point. But Bertie was a great man, and we should be proud of him.
Bertie to you.
Bertie Russell. So, anyway, there we were. We were looking at Bertrand Russell's proof that 1 + 1 = 2, and let's see if our scorers know that. Because as our collective grandmothers almost certainly warned us, all good things must come to an end. So it's now time to add up the final scores. My word, my word, my word, my word. This week's big bag of jelly babies, as it happens, with +5 goes to Ronnie. Ronnie Ancono is our winner. We offer a consolatory sherbet dab to David Mitchell with +3. And with -6 points in third place, a licorice bootlace to Alan Davies. Oh dear. But I'm afraid, boys and girls, that on the QI naughty step tonight, with -9, Sir Terry Wogan.
Is this because I pointed out the error in 1975?
We wouldn't be so mean or so low. So, children, that's it. Before we all climb the wooden hill to Bedfordshire, it's good night from Terry, David, Ronnie and Alan and me, and we leave you with a final piece of homespun wisdom from George Burns. Happiness is having a large, caring, close-knit family in another city. Good night. Welcome to QI for a show that tonight is all about gardening and groceries, and it's bog-off night at QI. 4 comedians for the price of 2. Cutting the mustard, it's Rob Brydon. And taking the biscuit, it's Dara O'Brien. Spicing things up, it's David Mitchell. Playing catch-up, it's Alan Davies. But, before we head over to the garden to turn over the first sod, let's hear your buzzers. And Rob goes, Dara goes, David goes, and Alan goes.
Powder punnet, powder punnet. Come on, love. Got a couple of juicy ones here. Go on, powder punnet.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's get off to an easy start. What tools do you need for do-nothing gardening?
No tools.
You think? It's also called natural gardening or natural farming. It's an Eastern version of our organic farming that has actually spread around the world.
You sort of have to dig with your hands
You-
or persuade other animals to do the gardening for you.
Yes, persuade other animals.
So you sort of persuade that a fox who doesn't want a sort of den, but a rockery.
Well, in the case of
You have to
Paddy
get some
Field...
fish in and they desperately try and dig a pond before they die.
Well, fish is right. Well, in paddy fields, as I say, it started in the east, they use ducks instead of herbicide. They eat the weeds, the throttly things that kill the rice, and they use carp as well to helps purify and keep the water in the paddy fields good. Now, I've got some props for you, which is more connected with the principle of the gentleman gardener, which was a familiar 18th and 19th century pastime to be a gentleman gardener. You can have that or pass it on. There you are, and on your side, you've got props. Isn't it exciting to have props? Physical, actual props. There you are.
I can see where we're going with this.
Yeah. So who's going to go first?
Well, everybody's been given fascinating devices, and I've been given a bottle with the top cut off.
That was designed by George Stephenson of the rocket fame. Was it? The first locomotive, yeah.
And it's to do with the garden?
It is to do with the garden. He was a very keen gardener.
What did he make most money out of? That or the
the
train?
I think the train was a bigger hit.
Right.
But he was a very keen gentleman gardener.
I bet he was really tedious and wouldn't talk about the train in interviews and would insist on talking about his bloody
I feel you're right.
In many ways, it's the work I'm proudest of. Yeah, but it's crap. It's just a bit of glass with no top.
It would protect some
you've got sunlight, I think, is an important factor here, the sunlight, because you've got glass. And what does glass do? It can magnify, Stephen, can't it?
Yes, it can.
Refraction with it, can't we?
Yeah,
okay.
Or refraction.
Whatever. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's not get bogged down in that.
Yeah, quite.
We're here to talk about gardening.
I'm silly.
Hello.
No, you found out... No.
It's a saw.
It is. It's for a gentleman gardener.
It's got a concealed serrated blade. You won't get this through customs. I can hijack a plane with one of these. I can't make it work, though. Why won't it go forwards? It'll only go that way.
Well, that's how you start the stroke.
That's how you start sawing.
It won't go back again.
Have you ever used a saw?
I don't think it's designed for exercise books.
No, that too. David has a point. It's for the gentleman No!
I want to saw something now.
These belong. I just want to say, these have been lent to us by the Garden Museum.
It works.
Oh, it really does.
Oh, my God!
I tell you what, I really wish they hadn't made this set out of asbestos.
Brilliant.
That's a very good invention.
It's for the gentleman who's walking along and he sees an overhanging limb of a tree or an overhanging limb of a person, for that matter, and decides just, oh, no! What have I done? No! That's... Oh.
It's only plastic.
Yeah. And see if you can tidy it away, class. See if you can do that. It's my clever psychology.
Clever, isn't it?
Let's see if you're clever enough to hide that sword. Brilliant.
Well, that was great fun. You got any more?
Well, David, you've got yours.
Well, yes, I don't know. I mean, it's like...
Yours actually is missing a piece. The Garden Museum, to whom we're very grateful for lending us these incredibly valuable artefacts, this would have had a sort of hat in order to make it like a walking stick, a sort of leathern thing around there.
Oh, so you could hold it like that?
You hold it as a walking stick, and then when you see some obtrusive weeds, you turn it around, and almost like a golf club, you...
Just a little hoe.
Yeah, you just hoe.
Yeah.
A little hoe. Yeah. Not in the street sense that's used in the United States and America.
Which is the sense I usually use that syllable in.
Yes, actually. So, talking of hoes, Rob.
It doesn't.
Oh, hello.
Sorry, there was a fly landed on my buzzer, and I tried to use my little hoe.
My little hoe. It's a new sort of toy for children, isn't it? So what's your little hoe for?
Well, I've absolutely no idea, other than I think it's something to do with light.
Well, it's not bad. It actually forces a shape. What sort of shape would something in there have to be?
A bottle.
Oh, a vegetable.
It would have to be a straight vegetable, though, wouldn't it?
So is it for cucumbers?
For cucumbers, for growing straight cucumbers.
Points, and I've mended my walking stick.
Yes, points all round for Alan Davies. There you are.
Now that thing up there, Stephen, it may well be for cucumbers, but that picture there is very similar to a spam email that I get sent. And I have to say, I'll tell you now, don't waste your money, it doesn't work.
Dara, what have you got?
I am guessing that you put a mixture of seeds in of different sizes, because there are little holes of different sizes, and then if you're the kind of person who knows what size seed
You need it,
then
which-
you just sprinkle it.
You're
In the most
exactly-
effete gardening way imaginable. There you go. And we're in the company of which actual gardens would be going, oh, well done, my lord. That's really top quality gardening you're doing there.
I'm rather exhausted now. I think I may have to go in and have a cocktail.
I'm a bit of the vapours from my gardening.
So, do nothing gardening, where we started, is small-scale organic farming with minimal inputs. Now, where's the best place in the world to discover an entirely new species?
The National Geographic Channel.
Maybe.
They're at the forefront.
Do you think you might spot something on the edge of shot? The documentary makers have. See, they're going on about that monkey or whatever, but that's a totally new sort of caterpillar.
What about the Amazon rainforest, where they're discovering new things all the time? Kent.
Yes, that would do.
Kent?
Kent would do. Basically, your own garden. You may say, no, how? There won't be anything in my garden that hasn't been discovered. You would be amazed. In 1971, Jennifer Owen, a biologist, did a very long-term study of her ordinary garden in a suburban house in Leicester. She discovered 533 species of ichneumon wasp. Just that family of parasitic wasps. 15 of these had never been recorded in Britain. 4 of them were completely new to science in a suburban garden. So in your garden, if you have a garden, there will be things. Gilbert White, the naturalist, said, nature is so full and so varied that if you want to find the place with the most variety, it's the place you most study. It almost doesn't matter. Just take a piece of land and look at it hard enough, you will see things that...
You're still going rainforest, I'm sorry.
Yes, but you'd have to travel thousands of miles, you'd have to park there, you'd have to look, you'd have to, you know...
Park?
The point... Yes.
Everyone knows it's a nightmare parking.
I'm slightly worried that my brain let me say that.
The congestion charge alone would just drives up the cost of research around.
Nonetheless.
How did she catch these wasps? Did she put a jam jar with jam in it and a little hole that's big enough for them to get in but not get back out? Because that's what we do in our house.
Do you?
Every wasp likes a bit of jam because it's sweet. They love sugary things, as do I.
You know when you find a bee and it's crawling on its last legs?
I always rescue them.
You give it honey. It's the only thing they eat. Makes sense when you think about it. No point just talking to it, give it honey.
They're very much a one-recipe species,
all
aren't
they
they?
I'm intrigued because I generally give it the sole of my shoe, but you know, not to be harsh, but you know,
It's tread on a struggling, crawling bee.
Yeah,
trying
no,
to get back to
really.
the
What?
hive.
What? As opposed to rehabilitate it.
I
Nursing it
like
back
honey.
to
I have it
life.
on my porridge, you murderer.
Yeah, but...
You depend on bees.
We need the bees.
Okay, so in future I should lure the bee back. And sorry, do I get a syringe of honey, just a tiny amount of honey? How do I feed this
Spoon of
to
honey,
save a
leave
bee?
it with the honey, don't tread on it. It should be criminal offence.
but-
You should be arrested. You should be locked up, you know where? In a hive.
But isn't it true, though, that a bee in his entire lifetime makes an absolutely tiny amount of honey overall? I mean, just a
But there's just
minute
lots
amount
of
of
them,
honey.
yeah.
So you don't have to give much rehabilitating honey to this one bee before the nation, the world, is making a net loss from that bee. You know, it's useless. If you only get 1 teaspoon of honey from a whole bee's lifetime, and every time we have to get it back on its feet, it takes a teaspoon and a half, suddenly there's no honey at all.
This is more honey than this bee has seen in its life.
Yeah. You're insulting it, apart from anything else. It's like showing a very tired mason a whole cathedral.
Well, let's say that you're in between Alan and Dara. So, like Alan, you want to help the bee give it honey, but like Dara, you also want to kill. What you can do is you get what I would term too much honey, and you see the bee, and you pour molten. Look, hear me out.
All right, okay.
And then you watch him die a slow as
Yeah,
he.
I carry on with... Yes, I've now heard you out.
Yes.
And it's no better.
Well, no, that's
worse. Much worse than what I did.
Torturing
You're
a
being
bee.
humane, are you?
Yeah, I am.
You're not. You're getting a kick out of it.
Let's forget that.
Drowning the bee ironically in honey. He wants the money. How much honey do you want? Is this too much honey? Straight.
Oh, not so keen on the honey now, are you? After your lifetime making honey.
Very good. Well, thank you for that interesting, fierce, and I think productive debate. Very pleased with that. We're going to move on now, but the best place, as you didn't quite point out, to find a new species or plant or animal is in your back garden. Who finds garden gnomes attractive?
I do, and it's lovely. It's lovely to get the opportunity to be able to admit it in public.
Good. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
We knew you too well, Rob. We knew that an Anne Widdecombe gnome would just immediately appeal to you. When did gnomes first arrive in British gardens, do you know?
1922.
But earlier than that, actually. 1847. And there was a strange man called Charles Isham, who was a vegetarian spiritualist, who believed that putting ornamental garden gnomes into a garden would attract real gnomes. That was his
Did he wish to try and kill real gnomes?
No, he wanted to commune with them. He wanted to commune with them. He
Yeah.
said seeing and hearing gnomes is not mental delusion, but extension of faculty.
It's a nice try, isn't it? It's lovely being clever when you're mental.
Yes. This man, Charles Isham, he introduced 21 porcelain gnomes, of which one still exists, and there it is. It's the original garden gnome, the first one ever. It's been insured for some £1 million. The red cap, which is a feature of all gnomes, it seems, and you may think there is a family resemblance to that chap and Doc or one of the other dwarves in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and they were based on this idea that German gnomes, or whatever you want to call them, dwarves, had these red caps because they were miners, and German miners wore red caps. There were in Wastwater or Wastwater in the Lake District. There were at 48 metres, there were a whole load of gnomes set deep down for divers to look at. 3 people drowned, apparently, trying to go and look for them. So the police came and took them away. And the gnome garden was put back at 50 metres this time deep, just 2 metres deeper. And the police didn't take it away. Can you imagine why that would be? If they took it away when it was 48 metres and 3 people had drowned, why would they then leave it?
Maybe it's a visibility thing.
Good effort, but no. It's too far for the police divers. The police divers' health and safety people won't let the police dive that low, so the police couldn't recover them from that depth.
That is funny, actually.
It is funny. It somehow is.
Can you imagine, though, if you're able to, and you don't mind the sort of risk, why would you choose to do it in a place where instead of seeing, a coral reef or fantastic wonders of the deep, all you can see is some manky old gnomes?
I think the idea was that the lake was incredibly dull and that people who were practicing diving, it was just something to make the little bit brighter and more interesting.
In the dive centre in Leicester, there's a big quarry, and they put an old aeroplane in it and a bus.
Yeah. Of course, in Scarpa Flow, there's a scuttled German fleet for you to go and investigate, if you wanted to.
That was the
bit chilly
end of the war, and the First World War, wasn't it?
Right.
The Allies were all arguing about who were to get this fleet, and we wanted to have the fleet because we had the biggest fleet, and so it made sense to us.
And Mummy said, if you're going to argue about it, then no one will get the fleet. And it was scuttled.
I didn't know that we sunk the French fleet.
We did, yes. That was much to the annoyance of Charles de Gaulle.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the Germans would have got hold of it.
Also, you don't get many opportunities to sink the French fleet. And, when the French fleet is just sitting there and it's not going to return
It was
fire,
more of an old English
it's just, you kind of go, look, we've got the French fleet, it's just there. We've got to sink it. We never mind that we're at war with Germany, but still, it's the French fleet. We will kick ourselves.
Where was the French fleet when this happened?
Oh, it's off the coast of Morocco?
Why didn't you just sail it to England?
We said sail it to England. It was full of French sailors who refused to sail it to England, as they always will.
Well, option B was, well, let's just sink the boat.
Yeah.
How was it not explained to them that the only other option was...
The third option was to drown them in honey, but we couldn't, couldn't get enough honey there in time, so...
Yeah, a black chapter amongst many other black chapters in that sad, melancholy period of history, the war. But on that melancholy note, the man who brought garden gnomes to England did so in the hope of attracting some real gnomes to his garden. Why do American farmers, gentlemen, hate Shakespeare? There's a picture of American farmers hating Shakespeare. Something to do with Shakespeare caused immense trouble to American farming. It's not Shakespeare's fault at all.
Not some farming practice that's hidden away in the sonnets or something?
It was an eccentric drug manufacturer called Eugene Schieffelin, and he decided that America should contain examples of every bird species named in the works of Shakespeare. And one particular species didn't exist in America. And he thought, oh, I'll introduce these. He introduced 100 to Central Park, and there are now estimated something like 200 million of them.
It's not the common pigeon, is it?
No, they come in huge flocks.
Geese,
Starlings.
ducks.
Starlings is the right answer. Starlings.
And they don't like them because they eat the seeds?
Unfortunately, what they do is they befoul everything in their droppings that they don't eat. They're such huge flocks. Vast flocks.
I was on Brighton Pier one time, and there are lots of starlings there, and at dusk they do that.
They're beautiful.
And it's really amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's a
if you stand on
wonderful
the pier. And then someone said that starlings come from hundreds of miles away to join in this coastal flocking.
Yeah.
And they come from as far away as Germany and Poland.
A lot of the Polish ones are coming over here now and taking away a lot of the... a lot of the British starlings' jobs. As you'll see a lot of British starlings just sat on the prom like this, bloody typical.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're the lazy British starlings who don't want to work.
Why don't they just get up and join in, you know? But they won't, will they? It's typical.
No, you're right. The flocks are up to 1 million, some of them. I mean, enormous flocks.
And are they just having fun? Or is it a good way of eating?
No, in the case of fish, I know that what they're really doing is presenting, as it were, an enormous fish that sort of glistens and frightens some predators, and in other cases it confuses and dazzles. And they're a lot safer than...
Starlings are basically scared of sharks.
I'm not so sure about
the shark might leap out of the West Pier.
You may laugh, but when was a starling last killed by a shark?
That's true.
So it works. You're absolutely right. It's 100%. It is 100% starkly proven that this shall keep us safe from sharks. Come on, boys. Fum! And they're like that.
So, good, excellent. Starlings were brought to America in an attempt to introduce all the birds in Shakespeare to the US. They're now a major pest, which is correct of these grocers, or grocers. It's grocers apostrophe. Why does this annoy people?
They're all right.
Well, of course, they're all conceivably right, aren't they? But it's just a way of asking whether you care about apostrophes.
Well, the grocer's apostrophe is supposed to be like...
They put them in where they shouldn't be. Supposedly, they put, like, potatoes and put an apostrophe there or something.
This doesn't bother you, does it?
It doesn't bother me.
It bothers me.
Does it? Yeah, it bothers some people, Some people write books and get incredibly annoyed, and they form societies for the protection of the apostrophe. And
there's one actually in Dublin, I don't know if it's a grocer, but something like that, and it's G-R-O-C-E-R, and then there's a comma, and then the S. And you go, you knew something had to go in there. You knew something had to go in there, but you couldn't. And it's like, it looks like a dead apostrophe. It looks like... But this guy had printed the sign. He'd obviously written out the sign and then gone to a sign printing company and went, whatever.
Sign printing companies, you'd think one of the requirements of being a sign printing company is having a basic knowledge of where an apostrophe goes.
They know, I'm convinced. All sign writing companies know, for example, how to spell accommodation. They must. I reckon when they say, OK, we're doing a sign for your guest house, would you like our normal service, or would you like our deluxe gold 5 times the price service? Well, we'll check your spelling for you. And everyone goes, no, it's all right, I'm not going to pay 5 times as much for you to check the spelling. They go, OK. Inevitably, OK, we're gonna paint the word accommodation the way you've put it there, are we? In the knowledge that they'll have to get called back all the sooner when the people finally realise they've got it wrong. It's just every time you see accommodation properly painted and misspelt, the sign writer knew. With bloody mind, he'd be putting it out there wrong, knowing he'd get a repeat gig all the time.
See how long he's been looking for a flat.
There are very few situations in which this is vital. There are very few times that you will run in and go, where are the grocers? And they go, well, there's only me. But your sign implied that there was more than one grocer.
Exactly. You're so
I'm looking for 3 grocers.
Yes, that's the minimum I need in this situation, not just one.
People have been ridiculing what's called the grocer's apostrophe since the 18th century. The Oxford Companion to the English Language notes that there was never a golden age in which the rules for the use of the possessive apostrophe in English were clear-cut and known, understood and followed by most educated people. Never. So some people have actually, like Birmingham, have abolished the apostrophe.
Oh, yes, I read about this.
Now, are there any places in America where they have an apostrophe?
They have places that are called Something's Creek.
Yeah.
Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, for example. Only 5 places in the whole United States have an apostrophe. One you might have heard of is quite well known. It's a tourist resort on the East Coast, a very upmarket, shishi place in New England.
Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard is the right answer.
That has an apostrophe.
And there are 4 others.
Dave's Vineyard.
Martha's Garden, Martha's Kitchen.
There's Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. There's Ikes Point, New Jersey. The captions are nowhere near where the places are. John E's Pond, Rhode Island. Carlos Elmer's Joshua View, Arizona. Clark's Mountain, Oregon. And those are the only ones.
So everywhere else they said don't bother with the apostrophe.
Yeah.
It's just confusing. Makes it
It
not
seems
look like
so.
a place name.
Yeah, it seems so.
I wouldn't bother with Carlos Elmer's. Joshua View works fine, doesn't it? Why the hell do you need to have Carlos Elmer's specific view of Joshua? Take Joshua up, let's all have a look at him. We'll all take Carlos Elmer's view of
Fine
this.
view of Joshua. Anyway, there you are. That's enough apostrophing. Many people are annoyed, apparently, by punctuation errors in science, but others claim that the grocers are at the forefront of the evolution of language. How can you be sure that an apple isn't actually a pear without tasting it or opening it up?
Oh, some apples get deformed into a sort of pear-shaped way.
There are round pears. I mean, that obviously is a very pear-like one on the right there. That's clearly a pear, I think. But there are round ones.
Is it that you can't do that twisting thing with an apple?
I think pear stems do tend to come off more quickly, don't they? But there's a really interesting way, and that is...
One floats and one doesn't
Which
float.
one floats?
Apples float.
Apples float.
Apples float, is it?
Dunk apples.
Bobbing for apples, exactly. And it's better work. I'm going to be so embarrassed if it doesn't.
God, it's like Brainiac.
Whoa! Float!
Wow, it's gone really big.
Floats.
Wow, why is that?
A pear.
That's a weird-looking pear.
How dare you?
That's wrong. Okay.
Oh,
Six.
so...
There you are. It seems that the pear is denser. It's somehow odd. You think of them as sweeter and lighter and so on, but actually they're just structurally more dense. And you may try this at home and get a floating pear or a
Don't go to a Greek
or a
grocer,
sinking
Saki,
apple.
like-
But please don't write in. Write to the British Apostrophe Society.
So
They'd
if
love to know about it.
someone invites you to play a game of pear bobbing, basically,
They're trying to drown you. Walk away!
Apparently up at Owlswater, they did pair bobbing at about 50 metres.
Yes.
The police decided not to do it.
invited a load of strangely dressed dwarves. Pear bobbing.
Yes.
But oddly enough, I'm going to put this back down here now. Oddly enough, the oldest variety of apple in England is called a...
Granny Smith, Bramley, Cox.
No, a pearmain. And now it's time for 5 items or fewer of general ignorance. Fingers on buzzers. What are trees made of?
Wood.
Is the right answer. Yes, well done. Well done. You see? And what is wood made of?
Carbon.
Yes. And where does the carbon come from?
The Earth.
The earth. No, you'd think most of what makes a tree was drawn up from the soil in nutrients.
It's air, is it?
It's actually the vast majority of everything that makes a tree comes from the air, yeah. Photosynthesis, which breaks down the air and leaves the carbon. And that's the carbon that makes a tree, so it is made of carbon. It's quite surprising, isn't it? Yeah. Good. What makes Australian spiders so dangerous?
It's their cunning and their organisation, Steve. And the fact they're willing to put the man-hours in. They will stalk you for weeks. They'll look for patterns in your behaviour, and they'll strike when you least expect it. Just as you're hovering over a poorly bee, holding a shoe high, that's when they'll come and bite you in the bum.
You mean the spider is working with the bee?
Yes. The bee is saying, there's not much longer left for me, but you could have a bit of fun here. Come on. Come in and bite him.
So is it that they sort of hide in loos?
Well, not deliberately, but the only real danger they seem to threat these days, since 1981, when anti-venoms were introduced all around Australia, there are 2 very poisonous types. There's the redback and the funnel web, the famous
Redback's
funnel
very,
web.
People's reaction.
There's the redback.
Is it the way that people...
Yeah, that no one has died from a spider bite since 1981.
Yeah.
No one in Australia. But people have been in accidents, which have been fatal, some of them, and some have caused enormous damage from spiders that have dropped out of sun visors in cars and fallen on people, and they go, "Ugh," like that, and then crashed. So that's their danger now, oddly enough, not their venom. And so it's time for our guests to reap what they have sown. I'm going to have a look at the old scoreboard. Oh, my good night. It's a tie for first place, ladies and gentlemen. It hasn't happened for a very long time. Not since all round here was green fields. And in first place, it's the two Ds with 3 points each, Dara and David. Congratulations. In a very praisable third place, smelling of roses still, at -6 is Rob Brydon. But going down to the bottom of the garden to eat worms with -8 is Alan Davies. So that's it from Rob, Dara, David, Alan and me, and I leave you with this quotation from Eric Morecambe. My neighbour asked if he could use my lawnmower, and I told him of course he could, so long as he didn't take it out of my garden. Thank you and good night. To tonight's QI. And tonight we have a higgledy-piggledy Hodge Podge of things beginning with H. And joining me tonight are the humongous Phil Jupiters. The hyperbolic Russ Noble. The hygienic Jack D. And ho-hum, it's Alan Davies. So, anytime you want to say hi, give me a bell. And Jack goes. And Phil goes. And Ross goes.
Ring-a-ding, 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 ring-a-ding.
Yeah, thank you. And Alan goes. I'm sorry. I'm so not sorry. So, let's give this pudding a stir, gentlemen. Why do bankers like long-haired men?
Oh, hello.
And short...
Is there any need for that? I mean, come on.
That's
and
charming.
the scariest thing is I'm wearing the same shirt.
You are?
Just look at that. That is appalling, isn't it?
I've got to hand it to you, Ross. You've got lovely legs.
Oh, God, I only just noticed you.
The full question is, why do bankers like long-haired men and short-skirted women? Yes.
Bi-curious.
Is it like when you're in the bank and you sort of like lean forward like that, the hair just brushes off all the little receipt stubs like that? And the bankers are sat there going, brilliant, I don't have to go around and clean that up. It's like a sort of a reverse Hoover.
Right, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. What do financiers look for? When are they happiest?
When they're rolling in money.
Yes, and when do they earn more money?
In the summer?
In the 60s.
Yes? What's the word for a period of prosperity?
Boom.
A boom, and as opposed to a bust or a recession. Now, it just so happens that throughout the 20th century, the length of women's skirts in fashion was exactly correlated to the rise and fall of the stock market. And as skirts got shorter and shorter, right up to the Wall Street crash, the flapper skirts, and then instantly skirt lengths got longer again during the Depression.
And the long hair is correspondingly, long hair means a boom?
Yes, it's a negative correlation, as it were. The further down the hair, the further up the market. Anyway, it seems that according to hemline theory, girls' hemlines go up as the market goes up, and so when a banker looks at a girl's legs, his mind is strictly on business. Now, what starts with H and means that you'll always be the bridesmaid and never the bride?
Tell Jupiters.
Hepatitis C.
Oddly enough, you're surprisingly close in a kind of way.
Herpes.
You got the right first and last letter. Yes.
Halitosis.
Halitosis is the right
Right,
answer.
I could have come up with that and got the laugh in the first place.
Halitosis was made up.
Yeah.
It was made up by
Listerine.
By Listerine, the company that made Listerine, Lambert Pharmaca. And they had this product that they named after Joseph Lister, who was the father of antiseptic surgery, who kind of made everybody wash and everything. And they used it, first of all, as an antiseptic. And then, without changing the formula, it was for washing floors. And then it was a cure for gonorrhea. And then they thought, we'll call it a mouthwash. The same thing.
Was there a point where that was combined? It was like a gonorrhea thing. Like, actually, my mouth's quite... Oh, my halitosis has gone there.
Well, they invented, essentially, this new product, a mouthwash. It never existed before, and there'd never been a need for it. And so they had to invent a problem for it to solve. And they started this campaign saying, you know, hotel clerks say that 1 in 3 guests who checks in have halitosis, and dentists saying 83% of patients have halitosis, and people began to get very nervous about their breath. Of course, people have dog breath, let's be honest, there are. And dogs, I say, have people breath.
How can you tell someone?
It's so difficult. That was one of their campaigns, actually.
That's why packets of mints were invented.
Yeah.
I always feel like someone's offering me a mint. That's definitely
That's It's true. I mean, these were the kinds of things they used as advertising slogans. They went from a tiny company to a vast one.
By inventing a name for something that was quite...
A kind of calling it a disease, and people thought, oh, I've got halitosis, and this is like a medical product that will sort of deal with it. And no one before... People had probably eaten things to sweeten their breath before, but it just...
I had a picture taken once with a koala.
You could just leave that there.
And it was eating eucalyptus leaves like they do, which are poisonous, but they've got a 48-mile intestine or something, and they can digest. But its breath was amazing.
It's sweet. It's lovely, isn't it?
It was pure eucalyptus. It was like Albus oil.
And even the fur smells lovely. It is gorgeous.
It was really amazing.
Yeah.
They looked a bit...
Is that the excuse you used when you started putting the moves on it? Koala started it, it was cuddling me. Next thing you know, beautiful breath, I thought I'd have a go.
None of that happened.
You say it didn't happen.
So if you had a really bad throat, could you get yourself a koala bear and put it in a big bowl and a tea towel? And just... Maybe a way to cure it.
You wouldn't want your wife coming in and seeing that.
No. Sorry, darling, it just frothed in my mouth.
Oh, Lord.
Why not buy one of my Outback inhalers? They're cuddly and gorgeous. People just sucking on a koala.
Here he is, the little fella. Here he comes now. The little...
Oh, Australian asthmatics going, oh no dear, I'm getting a koala out.
That would have been brilliant if in Star Wars, when they're taking off Vader's helmet, he just had a koala in there. Oh, that's better.
Now, so there you are. Halitosis was invented by an advertising agency to shift mouthwash. Now, why would a hoplophobe be particularly nervous of a Sturmgewehr 44 with a Krumlauf modification?
Because he was French.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of true. It is, of course, a German something.
Is it
Sturmgewehr 44.
Is it a firearm?
It is a firearm.
Is it a machine gun?
It's not a machine gun. Funnily enough, I have one. Oh, assault rifle. Somebody speaks German there.
Whoa.
Sturmgewehr.
That was slightly scary,
but
wasn't
it's
it?
you know you said that out loud, didn't you?
I've got 8 in my bunker. I can't tell you where, it's a secret location.
I've got hundreds of these as well.
Come the day.
Would you like to see one?
Come the day.
Yeah, I would.
The
Elvis will be ready.
They're very big. They're very heavy.
All your Christmases have come at once. Look at this. You've got no idea what you're doing with that.
There is the Sturmgewehr, which is a German Second World War assault rifle, the first assault rifle there ever was. But the Krummlauf is the interesting part.
Oh, I can see
The
it.
Krummlauf is this modification.
They don't like it happen.
So this is a genuine article. It's brought to us by our very nice friends from the Royal Armouries in Leeds. It's going to spend the night in the Tower of London tonight. And this is this extraordinary.
shoot over the trench.
You shoot over a wall or round a corner, and this is a periscope. And so if I'm here, I can actually. I assure you, it has been deactivated. I promise you. There is no chance. It's been checked and double checked, but I can see the audience in my. And I can see the sights as well in the periscope.
Yes, it's been converted into a
I am
waterer
pointing
for
at the
flower
back
baskets.
row of the audience, and that allows me to do that. Or, as you rightly say, around a corner.
But there's another gun, isn't there? There's one that actually shoots round a corner.
Yes, there is. The
There's a new
Israeli
one.
army uses that, and we might even have a picture of it. It's a much more modern development. There it is.
Yeah,
that really is extraordinary. And behind, though, is the first of its kind, a very simple invention, an Australian invention in the First World War, where you see a genuine rifle on top of the trench and a thing holding it and a periscope looking through the sight. Quite clever.
Much cooler just to go.
Oh, yes. It's so right. But there it is. It was in about 1943 it was invented. They started making them in 44. It's too late. Jerry didn't win the war, as you probably know. We gave him a bit of an old spanking, as a matter of fact. But this was in great demand for, the Panzer people like them in their tanks.
Please tell me on the other side of the desk you've got the left-handed one.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that one that goes round the corner. Do they have like ones that go that way and ones that go that way? Because that would really annoy if you ran up and you went, oh, God.
It was invented by a man called Hans Joachim Scheder, who was a washing machine manufacturer, in fact. He invented it for...
So it's got a spin cycle?
It's got a spin cycle.
So is he just trying to, like, drum up a bit of business? When on the adverts where they go, it gets blood out. Oh, I tell you what. You're not needing a washing machine.
And I said a hoplophobe, and a hoplophobe is someone who hates weapons.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was someone who's scared of hooplas.
According to UrbanDictionary.com, this literally is their definition. An irrational fear of weapons, generally guns, usually occurring as a result of a liberal upbringing, or the fact the person is just a wimp in general. Rather than deal with the fear, said hoplophobe will assign human characteristics to a weapon, i.e. guns are evil or guns kill, to justify the fear rather than deal with the core problem of being a sissy.
I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
He wrote that.
You may have done assault rifle. Yeah.
I tell you what, I bet he wrote it with a left-handed.
No, don't play with it, because they did ask that nobody else touch it, because it is very valuable, I'm
I was
afraid.
going to make it go over the desk.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I can't believe I'm not allowed to
I'm
play.
afraid I was given a specific Alan not to touch it. It's very valuable.
I love the fact that somewhere there's a memo that just says machine gun for Stephen Fry's use only.
Anyway, yes, the age-old problem of firing guns round corners has been solved by making guns that fire round corners. Time to inject a bit of humour and hilarity, I reckon. So why did the bomb disposal expert go to the joke shop?
Something you can get in a joke shop that helps you with bomb disposing. Fake poos.
Take me through the chain of...
I don't know how they would work.
Is it whoopee cushions? Put a whoopee cushion under to release the pressure plate.
That's quite smart thinking. It's not that, actually. They're called ammunition technicians. And they use a thing you might get in a joke shop or a
flower that sprays water.
shop. It is something you spray.
Oh, is it that? Is it that squirty stuff? The
silly string.
Silly string.
Silly string.
Silly string. Now, what use would silly string be?
Does it fill up the fuse area and block everything up?
No, it's not that. It's in case there are tripwires, very invisible tripwires, and you spray it and they fall on the tripwire without triggering it. And particularly, they have, of course, fluorescent silly string. So in dark corners where you might be, there's always the possibility, because so many bombs are booby-trapped. And
you know, it's nice that that's a real thing, but I just prefer them leaning over a bomb going...
In a big Margaret Thatcher mask. A rubber chicken.
I have to say, that would have improved that film, The Hurt Locker.
Yes. You're so right. Anyway, the army uses silly string to check for tripwires in booby-trapped houses. From houses to holes, you can't fit a square peg in a round hole. So how would you make a square hole with a round drill? That's the question. Can it be done? Yes, Jack D.
I would drill 4 small holes that don't laugh before it's happened. Might surprise you yet. I'm thinking while I talk. I would drill 4 small holes that would describe a square if I were to join
the corners?
Corners, and then with a hacksaw I would join them and knock the square through, and thus
It's a way
creating a square.
it's a way of punching a square into the surface, but there is actually a way of using a round drill bit to...
Well, my way's better.
That would have been brilliant if it had gone whoop, 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 and every word you said. One day, I was saying, even the bit
Don't
where you
laugh
said,
before you
said
forget
it was on there.
There's a particular shape, a sort of circular triangle, which, when it revolves, a part of it makes a square.
A circular triangle?
So
Oh, no. This is your first time. This sort of thing happens all the time.
It's a sort of circular triangle.
And it makes a square.
It's not the fact that I'm boggled by that, it's the fact that I now realise there's a possibility that you could have a Toblerone Rolo combo.
Something you've dreamt about for years.
Do you know the weird thing?
Room.
Do you know what will freak you out completely, Ross Noble? Is the name for this form of triangle is a rouleau. It genuinely is.
I'm not joking.
I think you have to have points for that. You somehow found a triangle that was a rouleau. It's a rouleau triangle, it's what it's called, and it's a very particular shape.
You know, if we come on this show and
and
we discover things, what I'd like tonight is I've just discovered that the best 3 words to hear in a Geordie accent are Toblerone Rolo combo.
Thanks. Now everyone I meet's going to go, could you say Toblerone, please? Come on, Geordie man, dance first.
Yeah. You've got to form a band now.
Yep.
All right.
Called that.
Me and Cheryl Cole.
Yeah.
Me and Jimmy Neal.
Yeah.
As a team. Ladies and gentlemen, the Toblerone Rolo combo.
You've got to play the trombone.
The trombone. Yes, trombone. That's it. My God. Right. Okay. Do you want to see a picture of this rouleau triangle?
Yeah.
You see a rouleau triangle?
Is it only available in airports?
Yep. No. Let's roll it. There. Now you see there. That's a sort of round triangle. If you know, a round-ended triangle.
Yes.
There it is, and that is the drill bit, and it is describing a square. If you see exactly, isn't that crazy? How loony is that?
You sicken me.
Now that shape may be familiar if you like cars and bikes. It's a type of piston, rotary piston, which is known as a
Wankel rotary.
Wankel or Wankel, if we prefer to say it that way.
Wankel was a bloke, though, wasn't he?
He
An
was.
actual bloke
Mr.
called
Wankel was indeed a bloke.
That's all you could do. If your name was Wankel,
Yeah.
just go, what are you going to do with your life? Well, it's going to have to be engines, isn't it? Or sex toys.
And I, for one, looking at that, I'm glad that he went the engine path, because I can't see that being particularly comfortable.
No. So you can make your square hole with a round drill. But this is something even more extraordinary, in a way. This is from an ordinary cylinder. And all you do is just cut 2 wedges of it. As long as the cylinder is as long as it is wide, you cut the 2 wedges, and you can do something again that you're not supposed to be able to do.
Wedge the door open on a rabbit hutch.
No, it's rather amazing. You've got the 3 play school windows, you've got the square, the triangle.
You can push it through all of them.
That is a square now, look, see? It's a square. Oh, there. Yeah. See, square, square.
Go on,
But
put
it's
it
also,
through then.
Yeah, it's, oh, hang on.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah, it's also a triangle.
Yes.
Triangle. And it's a circle. Isn't that amazing? Just one shape.
Can we just leave that, like, at a playgroup and watch the kids' heads explode?
Right, yes, fact is, thanks to the wonders of geometry, it's quite possible to drill a square hole with a circular bit. Which brings me round to a hypothetical question. What's made of jelly and lives forever? Yeah.
Shark-infested custard. Wrong joke.
Is it a famous jelly?
Royal jelly, bees.
No, what lives and is made of jelly?
Jellyfish.
A jellyfish. And what sort of jellyfish would live forever?
The
An
Highlander.
eternal jellyfish.
An eternal, or as it is known, the immortal jellyfish.
The immortal jellyfish, as I was about to say.
Yeah, you were. Turritopsis is its proper name, and there it is. And the extraordinary thing about it is it doesn't die. What happens after it sexes?
I'm going to sex ya. It's the jellyfish. I'm going to sex ya.
After it's had sex is the more normal way of saying it.
I have sex.
Marjorie, shall we sex? Come on. We have done sex for a good week.
Can't talk now, I'm sexing.
Why don't we say that? It's perfectly logical, isn't it? That's sex.
Some of us do say that.
Yeah, they are. But anyway, after it's sexed, it can then turn back into a child. Its cells change function, the muscle cells and the sperm cells and the egg cells change back and they change back. And it literally goes, as it were, back in time and just starts again. Well,
that would
it's
be
the same creature.
That would be a bit unnerving for its partner, though. Do you know what I mean? You've just made love and then, poof.
Can we watch Great Hill?
Of course, they do die because they get eaten or they get diseased, but they don't actually die of old age.
I'm trying to work out which of those 5 phases is the emo one that paints his bedroom black and doesn't talk to you for weeks.
Well, now, what about human attempts to be immortal or to rejuvenate at least? What was the great popular one earlier in the
Cliff Richard?
20th century? True.
Being frozen. Cryogenic.
Well, that doesn't really rejuvenate. That's just kind of waiting until there's a cure, isn't there? But
Monkey glands, royal jelly.
monkey glands. And what did they mean by monkey glands?
The glands of a monkey.
Yeah, what really glands, they were they? They were
was it
testicles.
No.
Yes. It started as human testicles, I'm sorry to say.
They're perfectly round. Round get a ball.
If you were to scale them up to the size of the Earth, they'd take hours to scratch. Chinese farmers with rakes. Monkey balls.
Monkey balls. There was a man called Sergei Vonarov, who was a Russian who lived in Paris.
Hello, ladies. And I'm talking about the dude in the middle.
It started as human testicles, that he would inject parts of the human testicle in.
Hang on, injecting parts of the human testicles.
Yeah.
Is that what he told the ladies, was it?
But it was very popular. And in fact, Wolverhampton Wanderers, they had a striker in the late 40s called Dennis Westcott. And the manager of Wolverhampton Wanderers, I rather like this period in English football when managers were called things like Major Frank Buckley. You don't get many majors managing English football teams anymore.
Or indeed sexing.
Or indeed sexing.
I love the fact that you did one impersonation of me and now you can't use grammar at all. It's like, next week's QI has been cancelled. Noble has infected Fry's brain.
Welcome to QI.
Major...
Get the monkey balls out, we're sexing it tonight.
Major Frank Buckley insisted on his striker having been injected with monkey testicles. And amazingly, he went on to score 38 goals in 35 games. And so then...
And he bred hundreds of monkeys.
Then the manager of Plymouth made his team inject themselves or be injected with monkey. And
That's got to be an interesting team talk, isn't it? What I want you to do, lads.
Yeah, right. But it was very fashionable, the search for eternal youth. And now, look on my works, ye mighty in despair. It's time for general ignorance. How do snakes manage when their lunch is bigger than their head?
Ring, ring, ring-a-ding.
Yes, Ross Noble.
They dislocate their jaw.
Oh! Ross, you were doing so well. I am so sorry. No, this is a common misapprehension. They don't do any such thing. They just have very stretchy, wide mouths. They have a special bone, which in mammals has become our anvil and other ear bones.
So the choice was I could either hear very well or eat something bigger than my head.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Essentially, it's this quadrate. Evolution! We can't hear you.
Yeah, but we've only got your word for it that picture there is a snake eating a mouse. That might be a new mouse creature that has a snake head.
It might. It's a lovely thought.
But doesn't it slip out or something?
No, it's a double jointed hinge.
And is that what they use on snakeskin handbags to get the?
Gosh, that would be a very impressive handbag, wouldn't it? But sometimes they do overreach themselves. There was a case in 2005 in the Everglades of Florida where a Burmese python attempted to eat a whole alligator and it got it into it. That is an alligator inside a snake. But the alligator was still alive inside the snake and tore at and the python exploded. So isn't that extraordinary?
And who lived? Who survived?
Well, I think the alligator probably was dead as well, unfortunately, by this time. It had got both dead.
Not a happy ending.
There were no winners.
No winners.
And what you may ask what a Burmese python was doing in the middle of Florida?
Was on holiday.
Yeah, it was on holiday. Right, it's a very popular destination. They're very popular pets, and that's actually the reason they're in Florida, because they escape and they find the Florida swamps very similar to the Burmese swamp with a python romp, as Noel Coward put it. So, yes, snakes don't actually dislocate their jaws to swallow big meals. They just have very stretchy mouths. What does a judge do when he wants order in his court? Here. Yes?
He bangs his gavel.
No, he British judges have never had gavels, never. They do on some television programs, mainly because I think props people just think it looks good, but they never have them. They never, ever have them.
Sometimes if they're conducting an auction at the same time, they do.
If they're conducting an auction, but it's unlikely that's going to happen. Auctioneers do have gavels, indeed.
So judges
don't have gavels.
You've got one there.
I was a judge in Kingdom.
You were?
And I had a gavel in that, so...
Did you?
I think so, yeah, I seem to remember.
We got that wrong.
Another reason why that
That's
show
why
was
it's cancelled. Yes, British judges have never used gavels, unlike American judges and auctioneers everywhere. So that's it. We've hobbled our way through higgledy-piggledy Hodge Podge, and all that remains is the humiliation of the final scores. My goodness, my gracious, my me. Holding his head high this week with a staggering +2 points is Jack D. Yeah. And holding his own in second place, a very creditable entry into the QI stakes, is our newcomer, Ross Noble, with -6. Oh, what a triumph here, because holding out the hope of greater things, it's Alan on -8. Well done. Which means, sadly, hanging his head in shame on -10 is Phil Jupiters. That's all from this heterogeneous edition of QI. So it's good night from Jack, Phil, Ross, Alan and me. And I leave you with this. Good night. To QI, where tonight, once again, the eyes have it. I spy with my little eye the illustrious Sandi Toksvig. The indubitable Jimmy Carr. The incorrigible Lee Mack. And the hilarious Alan Davies. And I hear with my little ear their buzzers. Sandy goes.
Aye, aye.
Jimmy goes.
Oi, oi.
Lee goes.
Aye, 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 aye.
And Alan goes.
I got a lovely bunch of
Yes.
Now, don't forget your nobody knows joker.
Nobody knows.
That's the one, like that. There is a question tonight to which the real answer is nobody knows. And if you can predict which that question is and wave your banner, then you'll get points. And so, to question question one. No, I was right the first time. What's the difference between an I and an II? Have you heard of an I? It's a very useful word in Scrabble. AI.
It's yes. Oh, yes, that's a yes, a sleuth.
A sloth, exactly. But what about an II?
2 sloths.
All right, so we've got the I. Where does the I live, this sloth? Where does it
In a tree.
Yeah, in which part of the world would you expect to find it?
South America.
South America is the right answer. They're wonderful things. They look like humans dressed in a sloth costume, as a matter of fact. They're really...
Yeah, but to be fair, you could say that about any animal, couldn't you?
No, but
a giraffe looks like a human dressed in a giraffe costume.
You look at a picture of an eye, and I think you'll see what I mean. That does look like a person in a costume.
It looks like he's climbing up a tree, which looks like a man dressed as a tree.
He also looks like he's made of that stuff they used to make dish mops out of, doesn't he?
Their heads are very disproportionate, aren't they?
They are, and they live up to their name. They're very lazy. They spend most of their time up. They only come down to defecate, in fact.
Sorry, they come down from a tree to defecate?
Yes.
Sure, the whole benefit of living in a tree is you can just
poo on whomever you like.
Maybe they've got a downstairs toilet.
Yes.
I thought that,
Once you've had it put in, you want to use it, don't you?
Absolutely.
Also, very unusually for mammals, they need to bask in the sun to warm up their metabolism. So that's the I. You've got the I, but tell me about the II.
Is the II spelt the same as the I?
No.
Obviously, there's more letters.
It's
I know
AYE-AYE.
That's just
I happen to have seen one. Very few people on Earth have, because it's one of the most endangered species.
Is it a Geordie version of that?
No, that's the YA.
Are we in the same part of the world?
We're not in the same part of the world.
Is it a sloth?
An II. It's not a sloth. It's more closely related to us. It's a primate.
Primate.
But it's not an ape or a monkey. So what other kinds of...
Is it the
primate
orangutan?
Lemur?
Lemur. It's a lemur. Therefore, it must come from only one place on Earth.
Oh!
Bradford. It looks like someone's put some water on a gremlin.
Yeah. That's exactly right, which you know you mustn't do.
Never do that, ever.
I would think that the animal on the left has an easier job getting a well-fitting hat.
and a girlfriend.
Yes.
That may be why the II is so endangered.
It's Madagascar.
Madagascar is the only place you get lemurs. You can't actually see in that photograph, but they have the most extraordinary middle finger, which is fully extended. It looks like a dried twig. It's really unusual. They tap with their finger on the barks of trees and bring out little worms and grubs, which they catch and eat off their fingers. It's like a piece of cutlery.
So nature has designed them to eat hula hoops?
Basically.
That's extraordinary.
Yes, a zoologist would say they fill the niche that woodpeckers fill in other environments.
But there are superstitions, are there not, about them, that if you pardon me if I did this to you, or did this, and if one of those did that to you, that would be...
That's right. It's called the fada, which is the Malgache taboo system of the local people, and unfortunately they regard them, because they're nocturnal creatures, and because they look so weird, I suppose, they regard them as a curse, and they have a habit of killing them if they see them.
It does look like a really bad hair transplant, doesn't it?
It does.
Really...
Well, I'm not surprised people kill them, as what the idea that, I mean, never mind superstition, but if you walk across the street doing that, you're going to get... you're going to go, well, I could take him on.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not surprised they're endangered, because they're clearly not mating, are they? They're looking at each other and going, I'd rather not. I might nip over to get the eye.
It is dark, remember?
All the ugly ones come out.
They do.
That's how Jimmy mates. I'm happy to do it, love, but it's going to have to be with the lights off. Can't believe your wife told you that story. It's like watching two 1970 Northern comics having a row. Only because your wife said, yeah, well, your wife doesn't exist. You what?
They do that on the streets of New York with Your Mama, don't they?
Yeah.
There's a whole series.
They do what with my mama? Why don't you say one's mama?
One's mama.
Yeah.
In fact.
I love you to do that in the streets of New York.
One's
Stephen.
mama?
Oh, one's mama to you.
Yes. That'll jolly well show them. Anyway, you didn't get that right, so let's try it again. What's the difference between an I and an II?
It's the same question?
Yes, but with different answers. Yeah.
Is it different answers?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe Navy this time.
Oh, I know.
Aye, sir. Is it aye, sir, and aye, sir? Two
Yes.
different things.
Yes, that's the difference. In the Navy, that's Kenneth Williams. Shining examples. You know how they separate the men from the boys in the Navy?
Oh,
with
do
a
tell
crowbar.
us.
With a crowbar.
Oh, dear. As you know, they say aye in the Navy,
Yeah.
but they also say aye, aye.
Aye, aye,
And there is a difference, and I want you to tell me what that difference is.
Is I mean, yes, as in what do you want, and I mean, so you go, you, I, go and mop the floor, aye.
Well, basically, yes. I mean, aye is an agreement or an assent. So the captain might say, it's a nice morning this morning, isn't it, sailor? And the sailor go, aye, sir. But he might say, order hands to bathe, and then he go, aye, sir, meaning I've heard your order and I will
Wash my hands.
carry it out. Well, no, it doesn't mean wash my hands
does
to
it mean?
bathe.
All hands overboard. It sounds like everyone jump in the water.
Yeah, hands, because hands are what you call the ship's company.
All sailors have a bath together now.
Yes, in the sea. Hands to bathe mean there are times when you're in the nice waters and they say, oh, right, let the men swim in the sea.
But don't take your hats off.
Don't take your hats off. Whatever you do.
Because don't take your hats off, the seagulls might need somewhere to land.
Also, are they singing a song while that's going on?
If synchronised swimmers dressed like that, you'd think more of the sport,
You
wouldn't
would,
you?
wouldn't you?
You get on TV more, that's pretty.
And also, you could combine it with Total Wipeout. Because you could run across the top as they're doing the synchronised.
More eyes now. Why won't this woman stop staring at you?
What? She's,
Yep.
she's only human. Well, she's got her needs like anyone.
Are we being suggested to say because their eyes are following you?
Yeah,
around
they
the
do.
room?
No,
Follow you around the
they
room.
actually, I mean, not they don't literally follow you around the room, but that experience is wherever you are in relation to that painting, she is looking at you.
What if you're behind her? Behind the painting. That only works on paintings of owls, surely.
There are other paintings. What's the most famous painting in the Wallace collection in London?
You know you're looking at the wrong person, don't you?
Yes. Certainly.
You know what? Sometimes your eyes are following me around the room.
Certainly.
I honestly thought someone was stood behind me then.
It's the. I think I might know this.
Yes,
Is it the Cavalier? Is it the Cavalier?
Yeah, the Laughing Cavalier.
The Laughing Cavalier.
My friend's house.
Yeah.
Very good. That has the same quality as well. I mean, it's true of a lot of portraits.
Well, surely it's true of any painting where the person is looking at the artist. It's not unique to that painting, is
No,
it?
it isn't.
Any
No.
painting where the subject is looking towards the
It's looking
camera, for want of a
straight
better
out
word.
is the point. The strange thing is, if you have a painting where someone's looking down, even if you get down to where the eye level is, it will never look at you.
You would look mad in an art gallery doing that. Look, he's looking at
Look at me, look at me!
Stand up,
But
you
it doesn't look at you. That's the thing. You only look at you when they're looking straight out like
Well,
that.
this
It's not
is
like
because...
that in Scooby-Doo, though. Scooby-Doo, right. There's
Yeah.
always somebody behind the painting, isn't there? And they
Oh,
really
that's
are.
true. And the eyes
They
are
really are
moving.
following you
In
around.
those horror films,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
It's like if you were to look at me now,
Yes.
and I walked over there, and you carried on fixing your gaze forward, you wouldn't be looking at me. So you would think it was possibly true of the painting. But you're not looking at the eyes of the painting, you're looking through the eyes of the artist. So wherever you stand, you're looking through the eyes of the artist, not through your own eyes.
Except
Good night.
That's rather beautiful.
Except that Stephen is three-dimensional and the painting is two-dimensional.
Yes,
so
the
that
painting-
doesn't
exactly.
work. Yeah.
But because I'm looking at you through my eyes. So if I walk over there,
Yeah.
I'm still looking at you through my eyes, so it doesn't work. But I'm not looking at his eyes, the subject's eyes, am I? I'm looking through the artist's eyes, and they stay fixed at all times.
Sorry, can I just ask you?
So it's like bending light. It's like having a telescope that bends round,
Yeah.
and you're doing that looking through the artist's
Do you know
eyes.
what? In a
I'm
really
here all
nice
weekend.
way, Lee, I'm going to say I don't think you've fully understood it.
Have you changed the word nice to patronising?
Well, I mean...
And you're very kind with the word fully, because I don't think I understood any of it, did I?
Anyway, we've got this little example of a sort of optical illusion here. So if you photograph it in the right way, as you're about to see, the eye plays extraordinary tricks on you. So there it is Einstein. There he is in profile.
Wow.
And there's the inverted bit. But hello,
Oh, aye.
your eye tells you
wow.
that's poking outwards. And yet it isn't. That's the inside bit. And your eye refuses to believe it until you get to that.
That's great.
Oh, you're twisting my melon, man.
Isn't that extraordinary?
Why does it do that? Why?
Well, it does that because your brain is programmed to recognise human faces. And it's one of the first things babies do is look at faces. And you expect to see a face. And even though you know it isn't a real face, your brain fills in the...
I did it again.
It's an astonishing
Does this, Stephen, does it only work with Einstein? Would it work with another man?
It would work with any human being. It is really
tricky. It's amazing, isn't it?
But it's done it. I can't believe it did it the same trick twice.
I know, the point is...
Right, listen, we're not going to fall for it this time.
And yes.
No way, not 3 times on the run.
Outside. This is going to be inside, Lee.
Inside.
How do you do it?
Wow.
It's so clever, isn't it?
He's so clever.
And it is literally, we literally filmed this. I mean, you can see, that's all it is.
This is a great trick. I might cut my head in half and scoop out my brain.
What a wonderful thing. It would make the most wonderful blancmange or something, wouldn't it?
Are we going to bother with the rest of the show? Because I could happily just...
What should I
I mean, it's lovely chatting and everything, and I love what we do, but let's just...
You're hypnotised.
Have you got any others apart from
No, I tell you what we can do. We can make the Queen happy or sad.
Oh.
We've got a £5 note. You can do this with your own £5 notes, but we'll give you the demonstration.
Okay.
There it is. You do a little fold.
This is
Oh. Do you remember when they ran the Derby? Her horse, Carlton House, came. It was winning, he's winning, he's going to win the Derby. Oh, bollocks. Came third and a Frenchman won.
Does it only work on a 5, though? Does it work on a bigger money?
I think it'll work on most
Any
denominations.
money?
Yeah.
And will it actually work on the Queen if you tilt her?
It will also work on the sovereign herself.
Is that why she looks so sad when she's bowing? Not that the Queen bowed that much, so she's really... She's probably never bowed in her life, has she?
No, I've met her, yeah.
Do you think she's ever bowed? Does she go?
She does, yes.
Another thing is to find out where and how we look. And there is a whole science called gaze detection. No, I do not.
don't even look at me.
Oh, it's a science, is it, Stephen?
It's actually a DAR, I believe.
No, not the gaydar. Gaze detection. G-A-Z-E. And their tests obviously done between men and women in the different way they look at bodies. When women look at a human being, they look at their faces. When men look at a human being...
I know this.
Yes. Yes, Lee. I'm afraid they look at their faces and their groins.
Their personality.
Yeah. And their groins. And the American Kennel Association, even more disturbingly, found that when human beings look at animals, women look at the dog's face, men look at the dog's face and genitals. There's some things you can't hide. And gaze detection is most important commercially, though, for what?
For the new idea that I've just had of writing advertising slogans on ladies' groins. We're going to be rich, Stephen. We're going to be rich.
It's not just ladies' groins. Men look at men's groins.
I'm afraid they do. That's the point. Yeah.
You wouldn't get much of a slogan on a chihuahua, would you?
You wouldn't get much of a slogan on me, never mind the chihuahua.
Why, though? Why do boys look at dogs' genitals?
This is news to us. This is news to all of us. There's not one man in the room thinking this is a bit of observational comedy. That's good. We're all going, what?
You may
look
not-
at dogs' genitals?
You may not know you do it, but you do it. These are what the experiments have shown. It's most useful in merchandising in supermarkets, basically to see that there are certain areas in any store where people are automatically drawn, and therefore they're the most valuable, and therefore the items that go on there are the ones that are most being pushed.
So if you really wanted to sell something to men, you should have a beautiful woman walk past and you'd look at the things that are right by her eye, and she's got to have a dog with her with large genitals.
Yeah. Well, yes, you're conflating the various things that I've said,
I'm
but
still
in an
horrified
interesting
by
way.
men looking at dogs' genitals. I don't do the same with horses.
Sandy, probably.
It is news
We don't.
to
Horses,
men. I'm telling
horses
you.
don't do anything for our self-esteem.
Yeah.
I went to a wedding in a beautiful country church, and it was in the middle of fields and so on, and the couple were having their picture taken, and not one of us had noticed that there was a horse in the field just behind the happy couple who had the biggest area of expertise I've ever seen. And that's all you can see in the photographs. They couldn't actually crop it out. It was so large.
Well, we must move on. Charming as this is, the way to get the eyes to follow you around the room is to paint them looking straight ahead. Next, a question about infancy. Which best-selling children's author has something to say on rabid dogs, suicide victims, slaughtering cattle, and how to tie your shoelaces? Yes, Steve.
Katie Price.
It's a wild stab in the dark. And
That was the title of her second book.
Was it how to slaughter cattle?
Yeah.
Yeah. This has probably sold 150 million copies since its first publication.
Sorry, is it in
British?
the children's book?
It's a book written for children, yeah.
Look at the boys looking
Which
round at
part
the
of
dog's
Timmy
genitals.
are you looking at? He is. Dick, that's Dick there on the left.
Dick.
Anne and Julian.
Julian
And Dick
and
is
Anne.
looking at Timmy's spits.
Girls, eyes forward, boys going, hello.
You see, even he did like you. So,
It's an old English book?
published in the Edwardian era.
We're looking at the name of the book or the author.
The name of the author
Around that time,
was
Graham?
Robert, later Lord Baden-Powell.
Oh, the Scouting for Boys.
Scouting for Boys is the right answer.
Scouting for Boys? It's
Yes.
something on suicide.
It has. It has an amazing entry on suicide. Maybe you'd like to hear it.
I would love to hear it.
When a man has gone so far as to attempt suicide, they don't count women for some reason, a scout should know what to do with him. In a case where the would-be suicide has taken poison, give milk and make him vomit, which is done by tickling the inside of the throat with a finger or a feather. In the case of hanging, cut down the body at once, taking care to support it with one arm while cutting the cord. A tenderfoot, which is scouting for novice.
Oh, they make that sound very simple.
It does, doesn't it? A novice is sometimes inclined to be timid about handling an insensible man or dead man, or even seeing blood. Well, he won't be much use till he gets over such nonsense. There you are. Slaughtering cattle, advice to young boys on how to slaughter cattle. Maybe. If you're a beginner in slaughtering with a knife, it's sometimes useful to first drop the animal insensible by a heavy blow with a big hammer or the back of a felling axe on top of the head.
Kindest thing to do, really.
Stopping a runaway horse?
He doesn't give advice on that, does he?
He does, yes.
Lie down.
That would stop the horse.
Oh, no, they don't tread on you.
No,
Oh, I know, play dead.
How would that stop the horse?
I'm thinking of
punch it on
ferocious
the
grizzly
nose.
bear again, aren't I?
Now, what you don't do is
that's
stand in front of it waving your arms. That's the mistake to make. What you should do is go to the side and basically just ease it towards the side of a wall or the side of a house.
Oh, yeah.
And then catch
Well,
it.
yeah, when it's running,
Yeah.
you ease a running horse to the side of a wall. Don't worry, lads, I'll just ease this running horse to the side of
It
a
will
wall.
see you out of the corner of its eye, and it will be pushed towards, and it will slow it down naturally, according to Baden-Powell.
Give us a hand. I can't. Uncle Pete's hung himself.
What about saving someone who's fallen in front of a train?
Oh, don't.
Oh, well, I know this. You ease the train up against the wall.
If the train is very close, lie flat between the rails, make the man do the same till the train passes over, while everyone else will be running about screaming and excited and doing nothing.
You're supposed to jump on the track with him?
Yeah.
And push his head down?
Yeah, keep
yes,
lie
I'm going to
flat.
do
Does
that,
that
yeah.
work, though? Is there such a big gap between the wheels that you
It does in movies, but I wouldn't be the one to try it.
That'd be great if you hung yourself and then a scout cut you down and you went, oh, well, don't worry, I'll jump under a train.
And again...
He's here again! Hi, mate.
Now, eyes front, eyes by, general ignorance up ahead. What can you tell me about the lifespan of this lobster?
Aye.
I don't know, but look at the size of the fish he's just caught.
I don't think the fish was that big. I think he's given it all that.
Yeah.
In theory, a lobster can live forever. In theory.
Yeah.
It's not one of these, is it?
Yes, it is. The point is, you can't tell the age of a lobster.
Just don't know.
So you're saying you can't tell the age of a lobster?
No.
Well, they shed their actual... the whole skin
the
comes
whole
off, the whole
exoskeleton.
case.
Did you say lobsters can live forever?
Well,
in theory, we don't know.
Yeah.
The trouble is we don't know, but in theory...
Yeah.
And because they're benthic, because they're so far down on the ocean's floor, they may be giant submarine-sized lobsters for all we know, but we've never seen them.
Yes, and they have a special sort of protease-type DNA enzyme called telomerase, which basically replaces lost DNA during cell division so that their cells remain young and pristine each time they divide. Unlike with us, where they just get flabbier and flabbier. The largest on record was caught off Nova Scotia in 1977. It was 3.5 foot long from tail to
3.5
claw.
foot, that's a lot smaller than a submarine.
Yes, it's a lot smaller than this studio. It's a lot smaller than many things, but it's the largest lobster that's ever been caught.
Yeah. But Sandi did say they could be as big as submarines.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I missed that bit.
That's all right. I didn't just randomly say 3.5 foot. I've got an interesting fact about 3.5 foot. Much smaller than a submarine. Back to you, Stephen. Read that with your interesting fact. It was relevant to what you said. That would be a bonkers way to try and
I've got slightly too used to you saying rather stupid things. One of them, and I apologise, on bended
What, you mean
knees.
stupid things like lobsters can live forever and grow to the size of submarines? That kind of thing. That kind of
What
nutty
makes
thing.
sense in the picture is that it's red.
Yes?
It shouldn't be red.
Why not?
Because it's in the water, it should be black. They're only red. Are they not only red? Oh.
You thought it was dead. No. The vast majority of lobsters are a sort of darkish colour with little bits of sort of iridescent-y colours on them. But you can't get red ones. Have you ever seen a blue lobster?
I'm not falling for this again, Stephen.
Have you?
I don't think I have seen.
Would you like to see a blue lobster?
Oh, here we go again. Go on.
No,
Is it going to hurt?
No, have a look behind you and you'll see a nice blue lobster. Look at that.
Oh, yes. Wow.
Just every now and again you get a really blue lobster.
No, I just think BP have got a lot to answer.
They've been sprayed by a vandal.
It does look like it. But Sandi was quite right about this business of detaching itself from its old shell. And it does that 25 times the first 5 years of its life. And each time it does, it grows by 50%. But it's a really odd business, and it's quite dangerous. It has to detach itself from its old shell. It has teeth inside its stomach. And they're part of the exoskeleton. So the lobster has to pull out the lining of its throat, stomach, and anus every time it gets rid of its shell in order to keep that part of
I've
itself.
had hangovers where I felt like that.
They also, rather like the people of Doncaster, they communicate with each other by urinating.
Hang on, what's on?
I went there with a TV crew on a Friday night, and there was a lot of weeing all over the place.
You feel like at Wembley in a cup final.
That's not.
Oh, that was horrible on the terraces when it used to,
It used to rush down
go
the
down
terraces.
the terraces. You know that thing where they get the champagne glasses and do that?
Yes, exactly.
That's where they got the idea from.
Or a chocolate.
All bubbling at the bottom.
Because in America you can buy a Stadium Pal. A Stadium Pal? You don't
Yes,
it's
is this
a
in a
baseball
thing
game.
you
It's the
can
thing
peel?
you attach to yourself and it goes into a bottle attached to your leg.
Oh, how clever.
And they've now developed one for women, which I think it looks a bit more like a gravy boat. I'm not really sure.
Now
That'd be quite good for long journeys in the car.
There was a car though, isn't there? There's a thing you can
pee in a
the
bag.
car. Yeah.
You pee in a
You
bag.
can pee in a bag anyway, then no one's stopping you.
If you're not allowed to use a mobile phone in a car, you're not allowed to urinate in a
Well, I
bag.
think you
surely.
pull over.
You pull over, why don't you get out of the car and go in the tree?
Well, you
Go
might
in
be,
a
I
tree.
don't know.
In the tree. In the tree, against the tree. I don't mean carry a woodpecker around with you at all times. Tap over there for us. Fill it in and on your way.
So, the fact is, it's impossible to age a lobster. What would they have called this shop in the olden days?
Well, I'm guessing not an old pork pie
Yes.
shop. Otherwise this one's a bit too easy.
How do you, yeah,
How do you pronounce it, you mean?
how do you pronounce it? Lee.
Ye old pork pie shoppy.
It's not, that's not pronounced ye.
Okay.
It's pronounced, yeah?
Yay!
No.
Old porky pie shoppy.
No, you said
It's
it.
the,
It's the. Why is it the?
I think it's just the way they wrote it down, isn't it?
Well, it's because it's actually, the letter is not a Y. It looks like a Y, and they used
no,
Ys
that-
when printing came in. It's an old English letter from Anglo-Saxon called the thorn, which is the letter for a TH, like a Greek theta. And when printing came in, a lot of them didn't bother to make a separate thorn. They used the Y because it was so similar. So when they were writing the, they would put a Y in. But they knew to pronounce it the. And that, because much as we do in texts and tweets these days, it's been very common for human beings to abbreviate. And they abbreviated that to YT, that. And so whenever you see in old churches ye this or ye that, or you see a ye old pork shop, it's actually the.
What about oldie?
The older, you don't pronounce the silent D on it either.
Shoppy?
Or shoppy. It's just
I haven't got one
the
word
old
right. Here we
pork
go,
pie
I've
shop.
got one. I've got one.
Yeah.
Pie.
Yes! Spot on!
Get in.
Yes, get in.
Now, how do you say that tricky one in the middle?
How northern is that? If someone's just flicked onto this show and say, oh, look, Lee Mack's on, and you just go pie and there's a round of applause.
What went up by 57% during the Blitz?
Oi, oi!
Yeah.
House prices?
Was it Mother Brown's knees?
By 57%.
Oh, they were always up listening to the Cockneys during the Blitz.
Yeah.
Always up.
Yeah.
The birth rate?
No.
Grave robbing?
Crime. Crime went up a huge amount during the Blitz.
Sorry, do you count crime as dropping bombs? Because if that...
No,
Because if that's listed as a crime, then there was a lot of that.
It's not a crime in act of war, in fact, to do that, unfortunately. Crime? But no, I'm talking about Londoners' crime, yeah. Mad Frankie Fraser actually said it was just terrible. It was a tragedy when Hitler surrendered, because wartime London was a criminal's paradise, is the way he put it. It was, I mean, all you had to do was get an ARP warden, you know, like Hodges in Dad's Army. Napoleon, all that. You put one of those on, and people would just obey you, and a tin hat with a W on it, and people would actually help them load their cars with stuff they'd stolen. So, here, come here, help me load this car. They go, oh, yes, because you're a warden. I mean, it was
Are you suggesting that's what the Queen Mother was doing in the East End?
Not...
My granddad was one of those.
Was he an ARP warden?
Well, he says that.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
So was it mainly...
There was looting. There was looting, but there's also scams. There was one fellow called Handy who made a claim for his house being bombed out, for which he got £500, 19 times before they caught on to him. And, of course, ordinary people also were committing crimes through ration books. People who didn't think of themselves as criminals were, you know, black marketeering or involving themselves in the black market. But, yeah, generally speaking, it was a very good time to be a criminal, because the police and everybody were concerned, obviously, with bombs falling on houses and people dying in incendiary bombs.
Is there truth in the... Because I've read a thing about the... Well, the house would be bombed, and people would be dead, and then people would come and steal watches and
yes,
and things.
I'm afraid so, yeah.
It's really sort of grisly...
I'm afraid it is, because we think of it as our finest hour and, you know, the Blitz spirit and so on, but unfortunately there's always human nature, and there's always another side to it. And, of course, there was a huge amount of bravery and camaraderie and communal spirit and so on, but there was also, sadly, the darker side. Now, I spy with my little eye the scores and how interesting they are. In first place, by really quite a long way, is Sandi Toksvig with 12 points. And in second place, with -4, Jimmy Carr.
Very happy with that.
Only just in third place with -5, Lee Mack. And a proud fourth place with double I -11 is Alan Davies. So it's thanks to Sandy, Jimmy, Lee and Alan. And as Yogi Berra said, you can observe a lot by watching. Good night. Welcome to an episode of QI that is jam-packed with J-words. Joining me to joust and jostle in tonight's J-themed jamboree are the jazzy Bill Bailey, the jet-propelled Jimmy Carr, the jasmine-scented Victoria Corrin, and that jolly jackanapes Alan Davies. Now we have fantastically obscure and recondite J buzzers. Bill goes... That's a jarana.
It's a jarana, yes.
It's a Mexican percussive.
Yes, you strum it with a gel.
Exactly. And Victoria goes... That's a Finnish instrument called a uiko. And Jimmy goes...
I would imagine I'll get this. Good. Good, correct. Well, I think we both know. Tell them.
It's actually it's a Russian instrument. It's a halalaika. And finally, Alan goes...
Jewish harp.
It is. It was originally called a Jaws harp because it's played rang in the mouth like that. Anyway, to get you in the mood, what do these unfamiliar J words mean?
Oh,
lots of
Janker. I've heard of
Janker.
jankers.
And
That's an army thing, isn't it?
Yes, jankers is an army punishment, isn't it?
Cleaning latrines or peeling 10,000
That's
tubs.
right. You put on jankers.
It looks like lots of them are minced oaths.
What was that? A minced?
minced oath, like saying fudge or sugar, like a powderised version of a swear word.
Is it like saying bicarbonate of soda?
Or shut the front door.
Or fuck crying out loud.
Have you ever said that, though, really?
What, fuck crying out loud?
Fuck crying out loud.
Works very well.
Have you?
Or fuck Christ's sake, yeah.
Or photographers that follow you. Why don't you just photograph someone else?
Jollop?
It's a juice, some sort of ungent, some sort of
unguent.
Fluid.
A jollop is actually a Turkish wattle.
I'm going to say bluff. Sorry, is it the wrong game?
It's a good word. It's a good word, yeah. Or it can mean a strong liquor.
Jollop.
Yeah.
Strong liquor.
Which is maybe where wild...
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
Hey.
I was gonna, but I didn't.
And gentacular... Gentacular.
Is this what friends of Jennifer Aniston say, how she looks before she goes out?
Gentacular.
No, it means pertaining to breakfast.
Oh, it does not.
It really does.
Why?
I know,
But
really...
why do you need that, though? In your life?
Well, you have a lunchy word. It's a lunchy type of thing. It's a breakfasty type of thing.
What's a lunch word, then?
So you would say toast is a bit gentacular?
Yeah. This toast is gentacular.
Yeah.
When has anyone ever said that, ever?
These are unusual words, I grant you.
OK, so we don't need to know that word, is what you're saying?
No. But
so I need to forget that now, because that's taken up vital space I need for pin numbers, really useful things in my brain.
But just
Not what I should say about breakfast. Ooh, what's 11? Oh, I said gentacular, what an idiot!
But here, really to astonish you,
Go on.
One of these words on this board has 28 separate meanings. And I'm going to put those meanings up, and you tell me which word it is. Back passage, vagina, penis, jobby...
Jollocks.
Jobby, you think? Jigger. We're getting a lot of jiggering from the audience. Ouija
It
board,
must be jigger.
Golf
I
club.
must be jigger.
Jigger is the right answer. I'm going to share 5 points with Victoria and 5 points with the audience. The word jigger has all those definitions. It's a measuring device, a jigger of rum.
Yes.
A snooker rest, an odd-looking person, Bill. Sorry, I'm just an odd-looking person. A distillery.
Don't say vagina and then point to me.
Penis.
Again.
And... woman's coat. That's a nice thingamy.
You see,
Door,
now,
pulley.
people do complain that there aren't any good words for vagina. There's no way of saying it that sounds nice. Jigger is not the answer.
I think Twinkle Cave. It's a less offensive term for a foo-foo.
So, I'm sorry. So, jigger is back passage, vagina, penis...
Well, that's confusing right there.
Straight away.
Just stick it in the jigger. What?
Yeah.
You're going to have to be more
You're talking
specific.
about jigger 1 or jigger 2?
It's also a golf club, so if you ask your caddy, do you think I should pull my jigger out for this job? What do you think?
Yeah, get your jigger out, rest it on your jigger, stick it in my jigger, mind the jigger.
What about Ouija board? You're at a party and let's all put our fingers together on your jigger. It's moving. Is it doing that by itself, or are we making...
Potter's wheel. That was what he used to put on the TV when they ran out of programmes.
Yeah.
Just put the jigger on. Not that one!
Anyway. Certain
A revolving jig. No.
Certain words do double duty, certain words do triple duty. Words like jigger seem to do multiple duty. But what's the one thing we can all agree Hitler, Stalin and Franco got right and Mussolini got wrong?
Mussolini surrendered.
There's something the three mustachioed dictators loathed and detested, but that actually Mussolini rather liked.
Pasta.
Yes.
what you want about Simon Sharma, he'd never come up with that.
Let's stick with the letter J.
Jackets with jeans, like Clarkson.
No.
Oh, was it double denim?
That again doesn't really begin with J.
J, does it?
J. Jizz.
The 20th century.
J.
Yes! You're close. The 20th century.
I'm close.
20th century. You've only got
20th
one
century.
vowel.
Jazz. Jazz.
Jazz! Jazz music. I disagree with this question, basically. Our very, very naughty people have suggested that Hitler, Stalin and Franco were right for disliking jazz. I personally love jazz.
So you're saying that Hitler didn't like jazz?
Not just didn't
the
like
more
it.
I hear about this guy, the less I like it.
I know. I agree. Jazz was, to the Germans, was inimical, absolutely. They thought it was total evil. They thought it was completely against everything they stood for.
Yeah.
But Mussolini, oddly enough, for all his faults, and let's face it, there were many and grievous, he listened to jazz in private. His son, Romano, was one of post-war Italy's most celebrated jazz musicians. He played with Dizzy Gillespie, Duke Ellington and Chet Baker. You can't get much higher than that in the jazz world.
Wasn't that Hitler's thing with comedy as well? Well, he didn't like Jewish comedy because he felt like if you laughed with someone, presumably the same thing with music, if you enjoy their music, you couldn't hate them.
What you're experiencing there is cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance is exactly right.
I think you'll find your way
Take the audience and the ladies and gentlemen home through cognitive dissonance.
Never mind them. Take me through cognitive dissonance.
It's exactly what you described. It's the ability to hold two opposing opinions at the same time. They seem to contradict each other, but actually, yet humans can do that.
Yeah.
Here's cognitive dissonance. Here I am on QI, like you see on the television, sitting by there. It's quite nice. Everyone seems nice. I'm having a nice time.
Yeah.
And yet, we've had the question, what did Hitler get right? Which is exactly what my grandmother told me would happen if I went on television. Last night, I had an anxiety dream about coming on here. I was so terrified of it. And in the dream, I was sitting here, I think I was on the other side, and you were asking the question very sternly.
No.
Yes. The question was, why was the March hare so important to the Aztecs? And I didn't know the answer. And did they worship it? And the screens went, worship it, worship it. Which was absolutely terrifying.
Stephen, ask the question, let's make it happen.
Yes, come on.
I'm such an amateur, I didn't even Google the answer.
That's an amazing dream.
It is a good dream.
That's very specific. You know, it's not like, I mean, I dream, I went up to the shops and bought some milk and some bread, and I wake up, I go, oh, where is it? And I thought, I'm sure I went up the shop and got it, but that's a crazy dream. Must have been that blue cheese I had last night. But
Bill, definitely the blue cheese was the issue.
Yeah, okay, all right. Blue cheese. Were you actually asleep? Or was this a sort of a premonition?
Well, we'll find out.
Well, yes, we will.
Can we just confirm this is happening now, isn't it?
Yes.
We're not in one of Vicky's dreams, because that would be...
That would be brilliant, though, wouldn't it? You could be the March hare, I'll be the Aztecs. Bring it on.
Let's get some blue cheese.
So, now, here are 4 J birds. What immediately comes to mind when you look at them?
Wings.
Oh, it's J I'm after. There is something that allows you to recognise them that a bird spotter would call their...
Jizz.
Yes!
Yes.
You knew that?
Well, I'm a Twitcher, aren't I?
Yes!
Yes, jizz.
Quite right.
Jizz is an acronym, don't think of where you might think it's going. It's the general impression, size and shape. And it came from, being able to spot planes in the war. You could spot the outline of planes from underneath. And that was a military term, jizz.
Yeah.
But birders use it as well.
Everything you say is believed by many, but unfortunately there's no evidence or provenance for that. So while you've got the word absolutely right and there are points pouring your way for the actual explanation is not proven.
So there would be a book I could look up on the internet when I get home, Jizz on Birds, and that is fine?
Yes. Absolutely right.
I've got a lot growing up to do, is all I know.
The pop etymology is that it might be just is. In other words, you can't say specifically why that aeroplane is a Spitfire or that bird is a siskin. It just is.
It just is, yes.
Or even gist, the essence, the gist.
Oh, the essence, yeah.
But no one's quite sure. But the other kind of jizz is a contraction of the word jism.
Jism.
And what is the origin of the... What does that mean, jism?
What's the origin?
Jism, jizzar.
No.
I could tell you where it comes from. I could show you.
Yeah, no. No, you're not to do that.
Again.
Too late.
Yes. Jism has a meaning. Can you imagine what jism might mean? Jism means spirit or energy.
Ah.
Yeah.
Like a...
I withhold my jism.
Oh,
I
you should-
deny them.
you
Is that meant to encourage us? What's that doing?
It's spirit and energy.
Oh, yeah, sure. That looks like we're trying to sell some sort of massage CD.
Here's a top jizz fact.
Go on.
All right, imagine one little sperm.
Hang on.
Tiny, whiny little sperm.
Got it.
They're very, very small. You couldn't see it with the naked eye.
Yeah.
All right. Now...
No bigger than an acorn.
You know... You know about computers and memories and things. They have information on them, which is expressed in terms of bytes, kilobytes or megabytes. How much information do you think is in the DNA of one little sperm? Just one?
I think it just says swim.
So that'll be what, 1 bit?
1 bit.
1 bit.
1 bit of information, swim that way.
Either 1 bit or 1 trillion bits.
It's 37.5 megabytes. Which means that a normal ejaculation...
Talk about your hard drive.
...represents...
Is this just after you've logged off?
Yeah. Just going to plug in my dongle, Bill.
How many more of these can we... before we go over the cliff?
As long as it's not a floppy, that's
You can still hold a lot in a floppy.
Yeah, you can. But a normal male ejaculation, if there is such a thing...
I came here to talk about the Aztecs.
Will you accept my personal apology, Victoria? Is the equivalent of 15,875 gigabytes. That's 15.8 terabytes. That's about 7,500 laptops worth of information in one ejaculation.
Gone to waste, just thrown away.
Well, not necessarily.
Down the end of a sock.
Stop it.
What? You started it.
Yes, jizz, as you knew as a bird spotter, is that indefinable something, the shape, the gait, the outline that allows you to identify a bird. But we have the 4 birds we showed you.
You're going to say we have some jizz.
No.
We have some birds you can identify here by their jizz.
We literally do. We literally do.
Oh, look.
Yeah, they all begin with J, that's your clue.
Oh.
I'm going to say that's a jayhawk.
No, that's not a hawk, is it? Look at it. I mean...
What are you saying?
How is that a hawk?
That is a hawk.
and picking up a rabbit?
That's not to scale, Bill. That's the size of it.
right. Oh, it's a long way off.
It's massive.
A hawk's beak, an eye.
A hawk's beak, yes. It's
A
not
hawk
a
has
common
got
hawk.
It's a raptor. That's not a raptor. That's a flipping flycatcher or something.
You are very good. It's a flycatcher.
It's a flycatcher. There you go. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
good.
Well, don't mess with the jizzmeister.
I was second on that.
No, you weren't.
I came
You weren't
second.
Rubbish.
A hawk?
You just mentioned the type of bird.
Right, okay, well, stick up the next one. I'm pretty sure
That
I'll
is, just to finish it, that was a flycatcher. It was a Juan Fernandez tit tyrant.
Oh, God, here we go again.
Wait a minute. A Juan Fernandez tit tyrant.
Crested, spotty-chested member of the Tyrant Flycatcher
A spotty-chested member.
Yeah.
There are points for knowing where the
This is
Juan Fernandez Islands are.
Juan Fernandez.
Breastcock Lane?
That's the spirit.
Getting into them very much. The Juan Fernandez Islands.
It's somewhere in
South America, somewhere.
Yeah, Chile.
Chile, yeah.
Fair enough, yeah. Okay, the next bird, this black one here.
It's some sort of... Well, is that a bird of paradise? Was it? No,
It's got massive green feet.
It's a weaver bird, in fact. If I tell you it's a weaver bird, you'll probably know it comes from...
Yorkshire.
Weaver bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
African bird.
It's Jackson's widow bird.
Jackson's widow bird.
The next one.
Okay.
At least name the type of bird.
The jabiru, it's a stork.
And it is a jabiru.
Jabiru,
Correct
yes.
answer.
Yes, of course.
Very good. This man is good. That is a jabiru, it's a stork, and it can be 5 foot tall with a 9 foot wingspan. It's a hell of a stork. Well spotted, and well, this man is impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and the last one.
Oh, it's very punk rock. It's from.
It's
I would say it's from the 70s.
Jedward.
It is. It's Jedward.
We'll allow you that. I think he could be called the Jedward bird from now on. It does have another J word. Do you know what type of bird that is, Bill?
It's
hawk.
No.
The size of its beak. What? How can it pick up a rabbit?
It's actually...
Those are oranges.
It's a waxwing.
It's a waxwing,
It's
yes.
a Japanese waxwing.
Oh, it's a Japanese one.
Japanese waxwing, found in Japan, China, and Eastern Russia. Right. Very good. OK. What did Watson do twice as often as Holmes?
Well, I don't want to say now. I guess he had more time on his hands.
Stick with it. Stick with it. What did he do twice?
Oh, no, I do know.
Yes.
It's ejaculate.
Ejaculate is the right answer.
This is the one thing I know about Sherlock Holmes because it's in the book.
Yes.
It's an old term meaning to
exclaim.
Exclaim.
Expostulate. He constantly. But Holmes, I ejaculated. You get a lot.
I mean, the books are brilliant anyway, but
They
the
are.
idea, but that every 20 pages that happens, and you go,
Yes. Yes, there are 23 ejaculations in a canon, as it's known.
They call it a canon.
Canon is the...
And one up the spout.
Oh, gross. As in the word canonical.
Give to you the cannon.
Yeah.
Stand back.
Yes. There's approximately 23 ejaculations, 48 terabytes of information coming your way. Stand by.
You're a very lucky lady.
Watson ejaculates 11 times.
Just on a bike.
Holmes, on one occasion, refers to Watson's ejaculations of wonder being invaluable to his art. Watson does ejaculate from his very heart in the direction of his fiancée. Holmes gives 6, but there is one where it's quite hard to tell who it is. So,
That can happen, Steve.
who's ejaculating here?
Let's just imagine.
So he sat as I dropped off to sleep, and so he sat when a sudden ejaculation caused me to wake up.
Have you ever been woken up by a sudden ejaculation?
You talked enough about your dreams. There's a fellow called Phelps in the wonderful story The Naval Treaty. He ejaculates 3 times, actually. The only other ejaculator is Mrs. Sinclair's husband, who ejaculates from a second-floor window.
This is the most fun I've ever had on this show.
So, now, who first used the expression OMG?
Was it Hannah Montana?
It wasn't Hannah Montana.
My guess.
It's a good guess. A reasonable guess.
I'm guessing that in the past it's meant something else.
No, as oh my God.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
Not. No, this is genuinely use of OMG in a communication.
Is it going to be on a Morse code?
No, though, funnily enough, you're in the right area. It was
military.
Kissinger?
It's not military, naval. It was 2 of the great naval figures of the First World War. Who was the First Lord of the Admiralty during
Churchill.
I have no idea.
Churchill, Winston Churchill. But the great Lord Fisher, in 1917, wrote a letter to Winston Churchill saying, I hear that a new order of knighthoods is on the tapis, meaning on the carpet. OMG, shower it on the Admiralty. So there you are. Oh, my God.
What year was that, sorry?
1917.
OMG.
Yeah,
That's
OMG.
a really good fact.
That's a good fact, isn't it?
Can we be certain he meant, oh my God? He might have meant...
Yes, no, he definitely did. He put oh my God in brackets afterwards. He wrote OMG
that
brackets.
rather ruined the point of
Yeah, I
abbreviating
know.
to the
But
same.
as he was the first user, I guess he had to explain it.
OMG, by which I mean, of course, the longer expression, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Eric Partridge's Dictionary of Abbreviations in 1942 contained dozens of SMS-friendly examples, such as AGN for again, MTH for month, and GD for good. So they pre-existed.
But I heard someone vocalise LOL. I actually heard someone said LOL as opposed to laugh. There's two kids in the street, and I told them, you know, she went LOL like that. Rather than laugh.
Yeah.
That's just some horrible post-Orwellian nightmare.
How amazing is that going to be at stand-up gigs if people just an audience starts going
LOL. Yeah. Let's just try it. No, after three. I'll just say the word LOL with as little expression as you can. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. LOL. That's the.
Tim Minchin has actually suggested that because people don't laugh out loud when they say lol, that he suggests MAS, mildly amused smirk. Which would be quite good, because that's what happens.
Nelly is another one that you could have.
Yeah?
Nelly, N-E-L-I, not even laughing inwardly.
But you'd be impressed to know that in 1659 is the first use of to unfriend, which we thought was a modern Facebook phrase. But to unfriend was used by Thomas Fuller, who wrote to theologist John Heylin, "I hope, sir, that we are not mutually unfriended by this difference which hath happened betwixt us."
Yes, and then I believe his friend wrote back that he liked that message.
Yeah, he liked that. Anyway, where do Arabic numbers come from?
Oh.
What's that?
I don't know. Interesting fact, though, the Oasis is about 110 miles that way.
No, let's see. That's the chart position in. In the Yemen.
They're not as big there, are they?
No, they don't like it.
What do we mean by Arabic numbers?
We mean the ones that we use, don't we?
I presume you mean how people who speak or write Arabic.
No, we call our numbers Arabic numbers.
Do we? I thought our numbers. Oh, OK.
Roman alphabet.
Right.
And Arabic numerals.
And Gregorian chanting. And French pastries.
And
Danish.
You must know that. You must, come on.
German mustard.
Is it Persia?
No, it's
not going to be in Arabia, is it?
It's not Arabia.
It's just outside Arabia. Arabia Parkway.
It's actually Hindu. In Arabic, they call them Hindu numbers. And in fact, in Arabic numbers, we have very little in common. You can see a car number plate here, and you'll see that on the left is 295994.
Oh, it's a bit
And on the
money,
right,
yeah.
that is the Arabic for 295994. And as you can see, it's only the 9 that is actually the same.
So they're not Arabic numbers at all?
No, we tend
Hindu
to call them.
Let's call them Hindu numbers.
We should call them Hindu numbers, exactly right.
Exactly.
Or
Exactly
we could call them numbers.
Yeah, but what's the fun in that?
Yeah, quite. I want you to tell me, because it's quite interesting, and that's the name of the game, which is the only number in the English language which, when written out, is in alphabetical order?
8.
No.
Okay, well,
43.
8 is good, but I comes after G.
Okay, I'm going to have to guess because there's not enough time and I'm dyslexic.
1, 2.
No.
3.
O comes before T. So they have to be in alphabetical
I
order.
see. Ah.
Yes, that's...
40.
40.
Yes! Well done!
Yes, so 40.
Very good.
Were you going through all the numbers? I was going through all the numbers at the same time that you were.
Yeah,
Got
just
it.
counting.
Yeah, 40 is the one.
Yeah, Alan was on 3 when you said
But you three were all talking. We're still going.
Counting.
All right. Why was the March hare so important to the Aztecs? You see?
Thing is, Victoria, whatever you dreamt was the answer is the right answer.
Yeah.
No, but I know the answer isn't, did they worship it? Because... I said that's not the answer.
Yeah.
What the answer actually is, I don't know, why is a raven like a writing desk? It's that sort of question.
It is that sort of
Maybe
question.
for years people will now debate this. 50 years from now, people will be asking, why was the March hare important to the Aztecs?
There is a kind of answer that maybe your subconscious somehow knew. They worshipped rabbits, not hares.
Yeah.
So some part of your brain knew that Aztecs worshipped rabbits.
Honestly, Aztecs
Yes,
worship rabbits?
It's true.
I swear to you I didn't know that. That's really
I swear, and I think
There
people are going
are-
to believe me.
I'll go even further than this. There are many people who believe that the rabbits that the Aztecs worshipped were jackrabbits, which are, in fact, technically a type of hare.
And a J word, which makes
And a J word.
This
So,
is spooky.
Victoria
Weird.
Corrin, burn the witch. You didn't see that one coming, and yet you did.
I dreamt a thing that I didn't think I knew that you say is nearly a fact beginning with J.
Yeah.
This world is far more mysterious than we give it credit for.
Isn't it just? I know. Which brings us to the scores. I don't know whether to do this backwards or forwards. I'm going to go backwards, actually, with our last place. It's noble, but it's minus 22. Jimmy Carr!
I took a few for the team. I took a couple for the team.
But I'm always happy to see, in somewhere as high as third place, Alan Davies with minus 6. And, this is astonishing. With plus 10, Bill Bailey. And the mad woman who dreams of Aztecs and hares, Victoria Corrin on plus 13. Well, that's all from Victoria, Jimmy, Bill, Alan and me. Be gloriously good to each other. Thank you and good night. Welcome to QI, where tonight is a chaotic clutter of K-words. Let's clock the contestants. The kind-hearted Sarah Pascoe. The Calipigian Jack Whitehall. The knowledgeable David Nichol. And knock me down with a kangaroo, it's Alan Davies. And this week's call signs are all K creatures. Sarah goes...
Is it a bird?
Yes.
Okay, it's a bird.
This movie? And a British wonderful...
The man who was in love with a kestrel.
Short and Kestrel.
Kes.
Kes, yeah.
Oh, that was
But
my
that's the film.
question.
Very good. And Jack goes...
Oh,
probably know that.
Okay, that is Kevin Bacon getting into really hot water. I'd know that sound anywhere. He likes it lukewarm.
He does. Kookaburra is the right answer to Kookaburra. David goes...
Is that a Klingon spacecraft?
Killer bee!
Killer bee.
Exactly, there you go. And Alan goes... It's genuine animal recording.
Kangaroo.
No.
Koala.
Yes! Yes! It's a koala! Who'd have thought that a koala sounded like that? Anyway, there we go. Just before we start, I've got a bit of very good news for you, David, because your old nemesis, Colin, the QI scorer, has been replaced by a new scorer called Murray, who happens to be a huge fan of yours. So I think that bodes well for this evening.
Well, I'm very glad to hear it. Yes.
Excellent.
Told me too late to bribe him.
What's happened to Colin, though? Why
He's been promoted, actually. He's now, I think, probably counting votes in the House of Lords or something similar. But
we're one step away from the House of Lords.
Yes, we are, exactly.
I think this programme would be an excellent House of Reform.
It would,
Just
wouldn't it?
let all the legislation come before us. We'll fiddle with it. Hopefully, gag it up a bit.
Yeah.
Send it on to the Queen.
My government will find 6 penises on this particular insect. Tends to be about it, QI. Anyway, let's kick off. What is this? It's a noise. Listen out carefully. And beginning with K. Yeah.
A klaxon.
Oh!
a strange sort of way, pop just ate itself, didn't it? The klaxon gave a klaxon. We call it the klaxon. It's not actually a klaxon.
So is that a brand name? Like with a Tannoy
Brilliant.
or a Hoover?
Absolutely right, just like Tannoy or Hoover.
So what is it, an alarm?
It's basically a siren, a noise, and
Okay.
an alarm noise, exactly.
Okay.
Klaxon has a very specific sound. It belongs to a company called Lovell McConnell Manufacturing. They were first fitted to cars, and they were the first electric thing ever to be attached to an automobile. The klaxon.
So they needed an alarm before a light?
So the sound we heard was you just call it some general word, but technically it's not a klaxon. Now, automobiles, America, the land of the free, the land of the automobile. You can imagine that in places like Pennsylvania, they must have welcomed them when they arrived, yes?
No.
It's the right answer. Alan, you're really getting the hang of this.
Played this before. You have to intuit.
You would be astounded by the Farmers Anti-Automobile Association of Pennsylvania with its list of impractical requirements for motorists. Automobiles travelling on country roads at night must send up a rocket every mile. And then wait 10 minutes for the road to clear. The driver may then proceed with caution, blowing his horn and shooting off Roman candles. If the driver of an automobile sees a team of horses approaching, he is to stop, pull to one side of the road, cover his machine with a blanket or dust cover, which is painted or coloured to blend into the scenery. In case a horse is unwilling to pass an automobile on the road, the driver of the car must take the machine apart as rapidly as possible and conceal the parts in the bushes. They really didn't want motor cars in Pennsylvania. Honking the horn, is that a sensible, safe thing to do? Does it avoid accidents?
Oh, it'll frighten the horses.
Well, obviously, that's assuming we're talking about now when there aren't any.
Wouldn't it raise
very few.
aggression? Hearing a loud noise makes you probably release adrenaline, and then your instincts would be flawed, I would have thought.
I think you're absolutely right.
Have you ever driven in Italy?
Oh,
I've been on tour in Italy, and the word go is die in Italy.
Avanti.
Die! I'm 19, I'm not a driver.
No, but you're absolutely right. There is no evidence of using the horn contributes to safety.
There's something interesting with police sirens, isn't there? Because it's two different notes, and the reason is if you hear one note for a long time, you can't tell where it's coming from.
That's exactly right. You genuinely can't tell. Is that in front of me?
Yeah.
Or is it behind me? You just don't know. In America, they have a very good rule when you hear a siren on the road.
Yeah.
You just simply stop driving.
Yeah.
And go
Absolutely.
and have a meal.
And then... But it actually somehow works out incredibly well, and the emergency vehicle just...
But they have wider roads.
They have
probably.
much wider roads, of course, yeah. But it does work
I
fantastic.
usually
And
try
everybody
and
does it.
see which of the emergency services it is, and then decide.
Oh, it's only an ambulance, they don't count, or it's only a fire.
What is that, then?
It's the police. There's something sort of vaguely right-wing about it.
So where were we? Yes, horn sounding does not, it seems, contribute to the safety of drivers at all. In Britain, we have almost zero tolerance of hooting a horn. But even more intolerant were the Nazis. And in 1936, they started
They're not known for their intolerance.
No, I know. But we thought
This hooting has become intolerable.
We
New camp, I think.
We thought we knew everything they were intolerant of, but it turns out even hooting a horn, they would actually punish the driver by putting yellow dots on their car. So it was like a sign, like, he is a hooter. He sounds his horn and people
I've
turn their
completely
back.
changed my opinion of the Nazis. I thought they were a pretty reasonable bunch of guys. This yellow dot business.
It is just shocking, aren't they? Anyway, there you go. So the QI klaxon isn't a klaxon at all. Now, everyone knows what knees, knuckles and kidneys are, but what's the point of these less familiar cave parts of the body? Kieselbach's plexus, the valves of Kirkring, the end bulbs of Krauser, the balls of Cone.
That is the best nickname for someone's balls ever.
Behold, the end bulbs of Klaus! Kneel before the end bulbs of Krauser.
It is not all Star Trek movies.
Star Trek 19, the valves of Kirkring, Kieselberg's plexus. They are magnificent names. They are all parts of the human anatomy. The valves of Kirkring are actually folds. Would that help you at all? Where do we have lots and lots of folds?
Intestines?
Yes.
Well done. Get in there. You've got in there with our smaller gut. There it is. The valves of very.
This is like the QI version of that game, Operation.
So what had Kirkring done that someone named disgusting, shitty bits of the body?
He was a 17th century Dutch anatomist who was a friend and co-eval of the philosopher Spinoza. And as you know from those wonderful Rembrandt paintings, the anatomy was a big subject in Holland. They were fascinated and curious. So fantastic discoveries being made. And one of them was this lower intestine, which is 22 feet long and a few inches wide. But if unfolded, it would cover a tennis court.
Surely
just
that's...
yours. A tennis court. And mine. Well, 2 tennis courts.
What, the whole of the tennis court or just the line?
The whole of the tennis court, including for doubles play. It's pretty astonishing.
So what's interesting about the intestine is we used to be herbivores, which is why we have so much intestine, because when you only eat plants, you have to take a really long time digesting to get everything out of them. And now we're carnivores, and it's sometimes why we have digestive problems in terms of dairy and stuff. But giant pandas, who are carnivores, they have they were carnivores.
Oh, were they?
So we're one of only 3 species that have changed over, one to the other. It's us pandas and squirrel.
Squirrels used to be carnivore.
A kind of squirrel that I can't remember. But giant pandas, that's why they have so much problem, because they have a very short intestine without all of these flaps.
Yeah.
So they only eat bamboo, which goes straight through them, which means they have to eat it all day long.
I know, it's so boring.
That's why they never have sex.
Yeah, exactly.
As a rule, note, you cannot have sex on indigestion.
You definitely get points for that.
What happened that the pandas gave up on meat?
Evolution and their circumstances, their
I mean, it's not working very well for them.
You're going to get logically cross with them now.
I mean, it seems...
They took a wrong step.
Idiotic. They can't... there's like 25 minutes a year they're going to have sex and it will work if they can be bothered, which they never can. They look ridiculous.
Bring looks into this.
I'm not saying they're not sweet, but they're not dignified, are they? Then the wise panda came. Never mind what the panda thinks. The panda's an idiot.
Okay.
Maybe they
if you want to make bungle in Rainbow seem high status, bring on a panda.
I'm with David on this. If you're endangered, you eat what you get. Like, if a rhino turned around and was like, sorry, no carbs before Marbs, then it deserves to be. Young person reference.
They probably used to eat things that don't exist anymore.
Oh, like dinosaurs.
Little dinosaurs.
Lovely little crunchy one.
Really light pandas. Used to go up and go, oh, they're really...
That would be evolution. Great. You evolved to look cute to something you want to eat.
Yes, back to parts of the body. Those are the valves of Kirkring. What about these, then? The pores of Cone.
The bell ends.
No, we're going to come to the bell ends, Alan. Wait for the bell ends. They will come. But the pores of Cone.
I don't know what's going to come up.
I never know what's going to issue
it's
from me.
Another ringtone, I can't wait. That is Twitter in a nutshell.
The pores of Cone are incredibly important. We need them deeply.
There
They're
are
not
holes in the surface of the skin.
Not in the skin. Those are where we have obviously millions of pores.
They're an internal pore.
They're internal pores.
Is it on bones?
No, not in bones. They're in order to equalise pressure.
In the lungs.
And as a backup system in the lungs, exactly right, yeah. Named after a German pathologist who was expelled by the Nazis in 1933. But there they are.
Did he bib his horn?
Yes.
I found some pores in the lungs!
I wish it were for such a
Get out.
And amazingly, they form an emergency backup system along with the canals of Lambert and the fenestrations of Boron.
I thought you said Butler. That would have been perfect.
I know a defenestration is chucking someone out of a window, so a fenestration is presumably chucking someone in.
No, it's just a window shaping, I think a window-making thing. It's the defenestration of Prague, wasn't it? It was a historical event. Quite know what happened there. But
people got thrown out.
Out of windows.
Yeah.
The whole city wasn't thrown out of a window.
In Prague.
Yes, in Prague. In Prague.
But the defenestration of Amsterdam was a historical event that happened on a stag do that I attended.
I'm sure.
Those prostitutes do not like getting touched.
Not me! Oh, right. You mean the with window ones?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I got you. Yeah. Just for a minute, I was really disturbed.
I'm not there.
No.
By the way, if I was, that's how I do it.
You'd never be out of work, I promise you. The end bulbs The end bulbs.
Work.
The end bulbs of Krauser.
Yeah.
Now, what could they be?
The helmet.
We have them on the genitalia in mulberry-like clusters, as a matter of fact.
Mulberry-like.
Mulberry-like. We have a lot of them on
What,
the
the
on
little
the
funny
genitals.
bits on the
Simple bits on the right that are all.
What do you do that? It's like my sister.
Yeah, those bits.
Those big bits there and there.
Here. You know when you take it out to go to the loo, right? And then you get the winch down.
I have to take a stepladder to go to the loo.
Hey. No, they're smaller than that, but they are incredibly sensitive to a particular condition.
Lady.
To what particular lady, no. We also have them all over the skin, not just, but they are very concentrated on the genitalia for a particular reason. Particularly the male genitalia are very sensitive to your swinging.
Is that cheating?
Yes. We have a special isolated camera above you. I just thought I'd warn you. Really? Well, I do.
Sorry, Colin.
But no, as you know, the survival of spermatozoa is very dependent on a very narrow range of what?
Temperature.
Temperature, exactly.
That's why we've got balls.
Yeah.
Because they have to be kept separate from the... It's
Precisely.
like hanging milk outside a student room.
Yes.
Keep it cold.
So if it's very, very warm, they sort of tend to droop down and sort of swing a bit, get the air around them.
Yes.
And if it's very, very cold, they shrink up.
They
and
tend to head home.
Yeah, exactly. And snuggle up to the blood supply.
Or if you're watching Loose Women.
Or maybe. Yes.
In a cold room.
Yes, in a cold room. So yes, these end bulbs of Krauser are tiny little bits all over the skin, not just the genital. They're not as big as
Willie's that?
No, they're not just. To make it clear, they're all over the body.
He needs to see a doctor.
They're not the goose pimples themselves. No, they're tiny, and they sense cold.
But could you see an end bulb of Krauser?
I don't think so. I think
They're too small to see.
Yeah.
But they're there working out if it's cold.
Yes,
If it's hot, they knock off.
Absolutely right. They're activated by temperatures lower than 20 degrees Celsius.
Oh, they're pretty busy in this country.
Yeah, they certainly are. They certainly are. And so that leaves us with Kieselbach's plexus. A plexus, as in complex, is a sort of network.
So it's a nerve endings thing, is it?
The brain, yeah.
No, actually, it's a network of connected arteries.
The heart.
No.
I'm just going to say things. And that's it. I've connected.
It's in the nasal septum. Yeah, it's a little network of arteries. It's around the point where we're most likely to have a nosebleed.
Oh.
And we've covered this before, Alan. When you have a nosebleed, Alan, you should pinch your nose and lean
forwards.
Lean
well,
back.
remember.
No, well,
forward.
just in time.
Yeah, just in time. If you lean back, the blood might go down your throat. Anyway.
This picture you've got of Tara Palmer Tompkins with her makeup off is amazing.
Now, why do doctors hit your knee with a hammer?
To test your reflexes.
Yeah.
That's correct. But what reflexes are they?
The reflexes are being...
It's a muscle.
It's always a really...
He's so no Murray.
It's always a really cold hammer, so maybe they're testing the end bulbs of Kirchel-Bircher couch.
No, it's not the end bulbs of Krauser. It's
because they don't like...
There's nerves that run from the thigh upwards to the...
head.
No. No, you would think that.
It's something to do... So the expression's like a knee-jerk response.
A knee-jerk reaction, yeah.
Because it doesn't go to the brain.
Yeah,
it goes... It communicates amongst itself.
Well, it goes
somehow.
up to the spinal cord. It doesn't go all the way up to the brain at all.
Yeah.
So it is unmediated by the brain entirely. It is absolutely an
And it only happens in two times. One is when you get hit on the knee with a little hammer like that, and the other is when you're asleep on a crowded train. It's only two times. And you never see a doctor rushing off with a little hammer.
So what are they hoping to see, doctors, when they tap you on the knee?
So they want you to do that. They want you to kick.
Though, actually, if it's too big, it could be a sign of really bad things.
Oh.
So that is a pretty healthy one.
Sorry, this footage is on loop.
It's on a loop.
Oh, yeah. This is the worst medical ever. Just stop the bloody knee. Grab my balls, I cough, and then let's leave.
No, it's the relative strength of the twitch that is really important. Too much of a twitch might indicate a brain tumour, stroke, liver disease, multiple sclerosis, or tetanus. And too little might mean botulism, damaged nervous system, or an infected spine. And none at all would well be an index or a sign of...
Or wooden leg.
Wooden leg.
Or death.
or
Yeah.
death or syphilis.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You don't get much of that anymore. You
As
don't
if that
get
was
much of
tonight's
it.
star prize. Forget gonorrhea, go for syphilis. You keep the chlamydia, all right? That's yours. No one can take that away. The chlamydia's yours. The genital
me, I
warts are
haven't got any
yours.
of them.
I'm pointing at both of you.
I think the whole point with chlamydia is people can take it
Yes,
away from you.
Yes, right. Anyway,
What
yeah.
if you did a murder with your reflex? If someone
Does
sort of
happen.
attacked your knee and then reflex, you had a knife
You
attached
broke
to your
their neck.
shoe or something, and you killed them, would you be able to say, but the reflex, it didn't go to my brain, it only went to the bottom of my spine, so I didn't really do it?
Yes.
That does happen when you're driving and you have an automated response. It's called like murder by automaton, but you don't go to prison. So if you sneeze, for instance, and then you run someone over, someone sneezed.
Talk about a reflex.
That means there's been
There's a
That's murdered someone.
Now they know they'll get away with it. It's something like
If you walk into a room with a gun cocked, sneeze, it goes off, you kill someone, you're in the clear.
So if you want to kill your wife, what you do is you drive down to Dover, you get her right up against a cliff, and then you put your leg behind her, and then get a doctor to tap the knee. She goes.
And the doctor would go to prison.
That would act up.
The doctor would go to prison.
I think so.
What if he was sneezing as he tapped the knee?
The perfect crime. Broadchurch Series 2.
I love this imaginary super compliant wife that you've found. Just come all the way here and stand there. What are you doing here?
Why does the GP come with us?
Get her out of the house.
It's a lovely view, my love. Stand still.
So, when you're hammered, a knee-jerk response is a total no-brainer. Now, what's a knocker-upper's knocker-upper?
Well, that would be the person that wakes the person that went around the streets waking people by bashing their windows with a long stick.
Is completely, utterly, and entirely the right answer.
Oh.
Absolutely. Yes. It seems obvious when you think about it that after the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, as people flocked into cities, they didn't work the usual daylight hours. They had worked in the countryside, and there were no such things as alarm clocks. So they had to be woken up for getting to mill by a tap on the window by a man with a long stick.
So did these guys stay up all night?
That's the point. A knocker-upper's knocker-upper, as David rightly said, was someone who did stay up all night. And then their last act was to wake up the sleeping knocker-uppers. And then they'd go to bed and be on the night shift, as it were. There was a famous Limehouse knocker-upper called Mary Smith, but she had a fantastic technique, which was shooting peas out of a pea shooter at the windows. Isn't that cool?
That's very cool.
And she look a marvellous sight.
Yeah.
Mary is my kind of woman.
Yeah?
Put it this way.
Would you
Mary
like
was round mine, she would not be getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
It's wonderful, the way she's got her hand on her hips. But anyway, there you are. A knocker-upper's knocker-upper was a human alarm clock's human alarm clock. Now, what colour is a red kite?
Blue.
Oh.
Red.
White.
No, thank you.
Thank goodness.
The thing is, they
Is
were
it a bird?
named. They were named before the English language had a word for orange. We just used the word red for anything that was orange as well. We had the word orange for a fruit. We didn't use it for the colour till the 16th century.
We always think it was the colour that named the fruit, and it's not. It's the fruit that named the colour.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So it's true of a robin redbreast, which is clearly orange, not red. We call it a redbreast. Same with a red squirrel. There you are. That's orange. There's no two ways about it. And indeed, red-headed people. It's not red if they had red hair. I mean, some people do through modern use of dyes, don't they? Some of your young friends, I expect. And red deer, similarly, are not red, but they were all named before the word orange existed as a colour choice.
In those days, people would say, what's the name of that red fruit? Oh, the orange.
Yes.
Yeah, pass me one of them.
Exactly.
It could have been, not the orange that made it catch on, but the front of a robin. We could all have, front of a robin brand phones. What colour is it? Oh, it's front of a robin.
It would be
I'm
confusing.
just eating an orange. It's such a bright shade of front of a robin.
And when people were getting bullied in the playground, it would be way less offensive. Oi, front of the robin pubes. Like that.
But why is a robin associated with Christmas?
Oh, is this something to do with Jesus? I know he's very Christmassy.
Do you know? I don't think he is, considering he started it all. I don't think he's all that Christmassy.
I don't think you can hold it against him, really.
No, it's
He's
not his
not
fault.
entering into the spirit of Christmas.
Cheer up.
Watch Morecambe and Wise and have some Quality Street. Bring everyone down.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not surprised he's lost control of the festival. Commercialism and Father Christmas, because he's not putting the effort in.
He is at Easter time, but we're not that interested.
Yeah, he's losing that to bloody eggs and bunnies.
That's true. That's true.
So I was thinking about Jesus because isn't there a story where the robin takes thorns out of his hands and then gets his
Lovely
red
idea.
breast?
There may well be. They may have
there's a
tried to
story,
post-connect
yeah.
the robin to because it's obviously only in Britain that it wouldn't be nearly as much snow around the Mediterranean. Certainly not in Palestine.
Again, not Christmassy, is it?
No.
You know, where Jesus lived wasn't very Christmas.
No, it really wasn't. In fact, you're so angry about it.
I actually know this.
Yes,
the robin is associated with Christmas because it's the only bird within the natural world that round the period of December flies back to its original nest with its robin parents, gives them a little bit of alcohol and then has to sit there as they're a little bit I learnt it in biology.
Oh, it's very good. Now, the actual reason is because we associate Christmas with Christmas cards, and Christmas cards were delivered by postmen wearing bright red uniforms who were known as redbreasts or robins. That was their nickname. The robins come around for Christmas, and so people started putting on Christmas card a robin to show that Robin would be delivering it. And it was that reason, which is unusual. But to return to our red kites, do you know anything about red kites in Britain?
They were reintroduced. They'd gone extinct in
Yeah.
England, and they were reintroduced very successfully.
That's
and now
right.
There's loads of them in the
There
south
are.
of England.
The thing was, in medieval times, it was actually the law that you had to kill one if you saw one. You actually had to kill it? Yes, you had to. If you were seen observing a red kite without trying to kill it, you were breaking the law.
Yeah.
Wow. That was really
That's
absurd.
amazing.
So the numbers drastically reduced. Fortunately, there now are 1,800 breeding pairs of red kites. It's been a hugely successful reintroduction. And lastly, how did the monkey wrench get its name?
I'm nervous of this because this was a fact that came up on The Unbelievable Truth.
The marvellous Radio 4
And
quiz show they did.
it has happened before that facts we've asserted on The Unbelievable Truth have been, I think the word is mocked. This programme for being factually incorrect. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, I don't do all the fact-checking.
Ditto, I have to say.
But on that show, what was given to me on a piece of paper to read out was the fact that the monkey wrench was named after a person whose name was like Monka, and he was some kind of, I don't know, technical.
You could not have parenthesised it more, but nonetheless, we are beastly rivals of yours. And you did mock us in your last series when
Well, the person that handed me the piece of paper put on it a piece of QI fact error mockery.
We had
it's
said...
turning into war.
I know, you're right. From now on, it is peaceful.
But we're like in this war, we're like the southern states. We haven't got the resources, and we're going to turn to racism as a result.
That Jew boy Fry said. I hope you don't go that far. But no, we incorrectly said that René Descartes, believed that monkeys could speak but didn't, because if they did, it would put them to work. In fact, Descartes reported that he'd heard this belief. And you correctly said that and mocked us correctly.
Right.
It was a rap over the knuckles. But there you go, that's -50 to David, of course.
So what
The answer actually is it's a kind of rather gigantic, not quite sure. The Americans
so we might be
claim
right.
it. No, we know that it isn't Mr. Monkey, because an article written in the 1880s said that the true inventor Charles Monkey was dying in poverty despite inventing this incredibly useful thing. The problem here is the term monkey wrench was used in England as early as 1807, and these articles were written in the 1880s, so it's just obviously completely impossible for that to be the case. It's generally believed that it's the face of it reminded people of the jaws of a monkey, you know, or that the monkey version of something in the Navy is a sort of rigging up of something.
But it's not all bad news for Mr. Monkey, because he is the originator of the phrase "spank the monkey." So, you know, he didn't die in vain.
Exactly. Well, there we go. So I'm sorry about that -50. Nobody knows how or why a monkey wrench is so called, though we do know that it wasn't for the reason given on David's otherwise excellent and superb radio show. Which brings us to the matter of scores.
Oh, dear.
goodnessly graciously...
Murray can't help me now.
I'm afraid it's pretty inevitable that in last place with minus 41 is David Mitchell.
It means I was on 9.
Yes, it does. You were on +9. And you saved Alan from ignominy, who is on minus 20 in third place. A magnificent second place for Jack Whitehall, minus 7. But what a QI kind of mind, what an incredible score, what an amazing debut from Sarah Pascoe with plus 28! Well, that's all for this week, so it's good night and thank you from Sarah, Jack, David, Alan and me. Good night.